hitting the airwaves live in America's finest city. It's Annie and Elsten.
Oh, what time is it? Time to kick it!
A fresh local sports talk show about having a good time in the sunshine of San Diego.
Guess I've been working so hard, I forgot what it's like to be hardly working.
With your hosts, Annie Heilbrunn.
Padres are playing confident, they're playing free, and that's been a huge part of their identity.
And Craig Elsten.
You're 10 games over 500, you're a good team. Just no question about it.
And featuring Braden Soprano. The good times start now. Here are your hosts, Annie and Elsten, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Great Friday morning to you, everybody. It's your midday hang, Annie and Elsten, here with you, all gathered together for the next 4 hours, alongside Annie Heilbrunn, Frank Marchese in the house for Braden Soprano today. My name's Craig Elsten, in our Odyssey studios overlooking sunny Murphy Canyon. Working you into Veterans Day weekend with 4 hours of live local San Diego sports talk radio. Happy to be here. Happy to bring it to you. What's going on, Annie?
Not much. Happy Friday, everyone. Beautiful day outside. Great to be here.
Indeed. Frank, thanks for stepping in this morning. Appreciate having you on the scene.
Yeah, not a problem. Anytime, guys.
Appreciate Ben and Woods immediately taking what could have been our first segment and making it their last segment. To talk about your weight loss journey.
Go for it again. It's fine by me.
I think it's, like...
I actually did not hear any of this.
Fair enough. Well, why don't we recycle it in the second half of the show, as Adam would say, right? You know? I feel like the recency between literally 5 minutes ago and now is a little short, but nonetheless... It's great to have everyone here together. It's Friday, obviously. It's great to be heading into what we hope for you is a 3-day weekend. It is for us. So we're very excited to have that opportunity. Both my wife and my son are off on Monday as well. So excited for that and hope you have a similar situation out there wherever you are. What we've got for you today, well, you got a good show lined up for you today, is what we've got. We have, of course, our regular Friday segments. So we'll bring you the 12 o'clock Sports Fix Weekend Preview Edition coming up at the middle of the show with all of the news you need to know for the weekend, all the latest on our local teams who always seem to only play on the weekend for the most part. We'll get into all of that. Later on, we'll play Fast Money. I believe, if I am correct, yes, that we have a new Las Vegas giveaway, Annie.
All right.
We are back on the Vegas tip. A grand prize, 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, $150 food and beverage credit. End of the month giveaway. We'll be qualifying players all month long through our silly games. So that's going to be fun. First one up is our one repeat of the week this week, which is Fast Money. 2 Fast Money game week this week. So that'll be coming up at 12:45. And the 120 segment, Media Melanie, already see her in the chat here in our YouTube feed. She will be along for Crossing Streams. We will talk about some streaming television recommendations that you might take through the long weekend. I will tell you right now, I'm not sure what Media Melanie has. I've got a show that I loved so much when I watched it last weekend that I finished the whole thing in one weekend. And it immediately jumped into my top 5 for the year. Guaranteed. Top 5 show for the year. So we'll talk about that.
I was about to ask you what it is and then realized.
Well, that would blow the teams.
Realized we'll wait till the end of the show.
Yeah,
right.
But it was a crackler. It was really good. So excited to share that with you later in the program. As always, front half of the show, very much front loaded with a lot of baseball chat. And in this case, we'll start things with the beginning, which was the end. GM meetings are over. So now the offseason begins. Now we get into meetings. You know, we had the leakage over the course of the last 24 hours that the owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, is going to fly out to meet Scott Boras and Juan Soto and begin the official wooing of this year's number one free agent. There's going to be a lot of wooing over the next few weeks. But the one thing that I do find that's kind of interesting is the idea that Boris has been put on the front foot this year by his clients after last year's situation where all his top guys didn't get signed till the middle of March and all of them had adjustment issues. The idea that maybe this winter goes a lot faster for baseball because, well, King Boris lets it be and actually works aggressively to sign deals instead of stalling.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he works this. And even with Juan Soto, how quickly will that happen? Last year, Shohei Ohtani's deal was done pretty early on, but there were so many of the other, I mean, he wasn't Boris, but the other Boris deals dragged into spring training for his big four. So will he try to get, the Blake Snells, the Juan Sotos, all these guys kind of signed early and put away in terms of moving this free agent market along? Who knows with Boris? I mean, who knows? But with him, maybe he's recognizing that the market might be one in which he wants to strike quickly.
I think players like Blake Snell don't want to spend the whole winter coaching youth league baseball, playing video games, and not being employed.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to go through what he went through last year with spring training and the Giants and just not getting in there till late and then having the kind of start to the season that he had. Same with Jordan Montgomery. I mean, if you're a pitcher, especially any player, I mean, we hear it all the time after they're signed late, how difficult it is to come in to a team and not have the full spring training and not ever feel like you're settled and you're still moving your family and getting all kinds of things figured out. So there's a lot of, nerves that go into that sort of thing. So I would imagine they want to get these done before February for sure.
Another thing that has come as a takeaway out of the winter meetings, the trade market starting to crystallize. And one thing that I find both interesting and kind of a bummer from our particular standpoint here in San Diego is it looks like one of the most active teams could be Arizona. And in particular, moving what they feel is somewhat a starting pitcher surplus in order to bolster their team in other positions. We could certainly use a starting pitcher getting traded, but there's just no way in heaven that the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to make a competitive trade with the San Diego Padres.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
So either. And I read this morning that Andrew Baggerly of the Athletics saying that the Giants will be potentially cutting resources and cutting money on their end. And
I saw that too.
So I wonder what
what
that takes. What does that mean for Ha-Seong Kim, or what does that mean for some people? That doesn't mean that he's out of it, but like exactly how much might they be cutting could definitely impact who they sign here.
Well, they could sign Ha-Seong Kim and then move Mike Yastrzemski along, and on the net only gain a little bit, cut some other places.
Yeah.
They talked about trading Camilo Doval. I'm sure the Giants can figure out something if they need to, but the idea that young starters like Zach Gallen could potentially be traded, I mean, that would really get Arizona a haul.
Yeah.
The one that I expect will be traded is Jordan Montgomery. I mean, how do you keep him when your owner basically disowned him publicly and said he was a gigantic mistake,
right,
and a waste of resources, and put that blame on me, and then of course he opts in, because why wouldn't he opt in at that point? I think the Diamondbacks are almost incumbent on trading Jordan Montgomery.
I think that they're definitely going to be looking for takers. If you're Jordan Montgomery, and it's an awkward situation, but if you're Jordan Montgomery, you just want to, you get along with the manager. You're not going to have issues inside the clubhouse. You just don't like the owner, and the owner doesn't like you. You can handle it if you have a good season and if you have to handle it. If he gets traded, I'm sure he will welcome that, and I'm sure that they'll look for suitors for him. But if he doesn't, man, you want to just take your revenge out on the field and kind of show, hey, make your owner eat his words. It's not the best situation, but he can sort of get around it a little bit as long as he's just kind of, keeping it to the clubhouse. It's not going to be easy, but it's something that other players have had to deal with. Not everyone gets along with the owner. The owner makes remarks to players, not as publicly as he did. He made some really public remarks. If I'm Jordan Montgomery, I'm hoping I'm traded. But if for some reason he's not, you just want to go out there and you want to have the best year you can. You want to make him eat his words. Yeah.
Now, when I look at our team here, our beloved San Diego Padres, in many years past, the winter has been a time where we're waiting potentially for a creative trade for AJ Preller. I would also expect or hope or wait for a creative trade from AJ Preller this winter, but I feel like it's going to be a different shaped trade, Annie, because right now the Padres don't have 4 AA prospects with, top 100 rankings that can be bundled in a package to go get somebody akin to a Montgomery or a Dylan Cease last year, or a Luis Ariz last year, or a Jason Adam, or a Tanner Scott. All of those trades had a particular shape. We take stuff out of our minor league pool, we give it to you to get a big leaguer. That minor league pool right now has a very small, very deep end with DeVries and Salas. And then it's pretty shallow from there with a few maybe, high upside guys in the low minors or whatnot. But it's not the same shape where he can just go out there and ta-da, $8 million contributing player to the big league roster. I feel like it's much more likely that if there's a trade, it's the reverse of that. It's trading a big league piece for something that helps restock that then can be flipped in a second move to put the 2025 team on better footing.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's got to get creative. AJ Preller's got to get creative, and he knows that. So he's going to look for his best available. That's how he works. Who's the guys that are going to be able to put on the roster, figure out where they fit later. Sometimes that is putting square pegs in round holes, but figure out where they fit later, how we're going to use them, but try to just get the most value we can and then flip them if we need to. And he's not afraid to do that. He's definitely, open to those kinds of scenarios. And honestly, one of the more like flexible GMs in terms of doing something like that. But, you got to be thinking ahead a little bit. You got to be thinking of this year. You still don't know exactly what budget you're working with. And I think this year, I do think this is going to be a pretty active trade market. I mean, you've got, interestingly, from the GM meetings, we didn't get a whole lot of information, but you heard some GMs saying that they're going to spend more money. You heard some GMs already saying that they're going to spend less money. They've been upfront about it. And you've got even one saying that, like Brent Rooker or Bo Bichette, like we're not even looking at them. Don't even ask us about trades. We're keeping these guys. You don't always hear that stuff so early on in terms of just shutting things down. I think that there might be a lot more clarity within teams too in terms of how much money they have because of the TV deals. I've been talking about the Cardinals the last few days and what they've been doing, and looks like they had a 23% decrease in what would have been what they were paid for their TV deal this year. So you're going from, maybe $78 million, which is what they were going to get for their TV deal this year, down to, maybe $60 million or $65 million, which is still a good chunk of change. And if you're the Cardinals, you're happy about that, but you don't know how long that deal is going to last. They had a deal that was like a decades-long deal, and it's not going to be the case anymore. So you don't know what your future is necessarily going to hold and how that's going to work out. They've already said they're cutting. The Red Sox saying that they're maybe spending more. Like, it's just an interesting market, I think, in the fact that, like, how much are these TV deals for the teams that are now being affected by it? How much are they going to impact signings, and will that make the trade market even more lucrative in terms of, like, let's just get all we can on the trade market and make these tough deals? Like, you don't want to see some of these players go, but you might have to see them go in order to fill out the rest of your roster that you don't want to spend money on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a report out there that the Cardinals might be interested in moving Arenado. That can be tied directly to the news story you just discussed about their local sports network having an issue. Regional sports network, I think, is the more industry jargon term, but that's what's going on. The rich are getting richer. The other teams in the league are getting poorer. They're literally losing revenue, losing money, millions in dollars that they counted upon as part of their budget, and trying to figure out a way to turn it around and make it right. The Padres have been dealing with this for 2 seasons running.
Yeah.
Now, they're actually ahead of the curve on this. However, they got an MLB bailout 2 years ago, and they got a lawsuit bailout last year. So, right?
Yeah.
This year, what are they? I don't think there's a bailout for 2025.
No, and I think, these teams are going to have to at some point reckon with this in terms of, like, especially the first year, it's tough. And the Cardinals are actually in a very good situation. They're still going to get paid $60 million something plus digital rights for keeping their agreement with FanDuel, formerly Bally's, but now FanDuel, going as long as they can. But they're still cutting money. They've already said that they're cutting revenue. So, there's other streams of revenue. I know we go back to the TV deal a lot because it's a big deal. But in terms of the Padres, they're probably say like if they used to get $60 million a year, they're probably getting $30 million a year based on full sum of the other streams of revenue that they have. And then there's other streams of revenue in terms of sponsorships or whatnot. There's other ways to get money besides the TV money. There's gate money. There's all of that good stuff that should hopefully fill the pockets back up and allow for some more spending. The pickle that the Padres are in is that a lot of that increased spending is going to guys that are already on their roster that are simply getting raises. So you don't have the ability necessarily to use that increased spending to fill holes, which is where they either have to increase more spending or get creative with those trades. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that going forward, I think, and then if there's a lockout, is that CBA is at the end of next year. I mean, you've got to think that owners are looking toward the future of like what could be happening here in the coming years that's going to affect what we're doing this year as well.
Yeah, 2026, right?
Yes.
CBA is
okay,
up.
so they've got 2 more years. Yeah.
Which, hey, never too early to point out the storm clouds, I guess, on the deep horizon. But there's a lot about the system right now that doesn't make a ton of sense from an every team competitive standpoint. I'm not sure that there's anybody in baseball that cares from the New York side. It's a lot different than what the commissioner's office used to be when I was growing up. It's just a subsidiary of the owners now, the commissioner's office. So I think as long as the owners see rising shares, they're fine with 20 of their teams, being in a completely different situation than 5 or 6 of their teams.
And a little bit of little breaking news, although it's expected at this point. Ruben Niebla, new pitching contract, been extended. So good to see him coming back. Kevin Acee having that on Twitter.
Kevin Acee on
Twitter. So the new multi-year contract for Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla has been finalized. So they are moving forward with him. And you would imagine most of the coaching staff. So this is pointing back to what A.J. Preller said the other day.
All right. That was way too subdued a way to say that. Let's rev it a little bit up.
Well, we knew it was coming.
Ruben Niebla's back. Yes! All right! Way to go. Good news dump on a Friday. How about it? We got our pitching guru back in line. We got the ability now to mine hidden relievers off of the 40-man rosters of other teams and turn them into 12 strikeout per 9-inning geniuses, a la Jeremiah Estrada. We've got the ability to rehabilitate young guys who we paid lots of money to on the international market who never amounted to nothing, who are less a hone, and turn them back into more a hone again and turn them into a valuable piece. You've got your guy. How about the guy who turned not just Michael King, but Seth Lugo from a reliever into a super effective starter, like a top-of-the-rotation playoff-level starter? That's Ruben Niebla, baby. Niebla, who doesn't count against the CBT, who doesn't count against the cap, who helps fill in the details, who does the analytics on the pitching side, who has the pitching lab at Point Loma, who continues with his family here in San Diego County. A great and joyous day as Ruben Niebla is back. All right. Okay, now I feel a little better about that.
Good.
Yeah, I feel a little better about that. It felt way too like turning in a piece of paperwork on a Friday. And Ruben Niebla's been extended. And congratulations, young man. Thank you. No, this is great. This is great. Lots of teams wanted him. He didn't want to leave. And the Padres, they took care of Schulte. Now they've taken care of Ruben. I'm guessing we're going to hear a Victor Rodriguez pretty soon down the road. Bring them all back. Run it back, coaching staff. Can't run back the exact same roster, but you can run back the guys behind the scenes who helped instill and who helped disseminate the culture that this club wants and helped continue it throughout the course of the season into the postseason. Great stuff. Ruben Niebla's back. All right. Okay. That was worth the extra 4 minutes. When we come back, great Monday night football game. Great off-night football game. Thursday night football game. Last night, putting the analytics of football back on center stage. What do you do at the end of a close game now? That's been the topic of the entire week of these feature night football games. We'll get to that on the other side of this. Annie and Elsten underway, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:25 on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody, to Annie and Elsten. Annie Halpin, Craig Elsten, Frank Marchese in for Braden Suprenant. We are here till 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris will check in from 2 to 6. Scraby Show tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. We bring you 13 hours live local San Diego sports talk today on 97.3 The Fan. Talked some baseball in the first segment. Again, if you missed it because it popped right at the end of the first segment, Padres have re-signed their pitching coach. Ruben Niebla gets a multi-year contract. Mike Schilt gets a multi-year contract. I'm sure we'll get more details on Niebla's deal as time moves on, or we won't. It doesn't really matter. Point being, he's here, and that's good news for the San Diego Padres and for San Diego Padres fans. You can't get everything you want, but you can keep the good people around that help make good things happen. And Ruben Niebla is good people. So super, super exciting in terms of that news. Okay, we can pivot for a second over to football, Thursday night football. We said it was going to be a good game. Seemed like it should be a good game. Cincinnati and Baltimore. And Cincinnati now is they've kind of, I don't know, are they kind of Charger-ish, the Bengals? They're 4-6. They're clearly good. They have really good players, but they don't win games. They always figure out a way to lose a close game, and they did it again last night.
Yeah, I mean, they had the Ravens on the ropes last night. They could have won that game. Joe Burrow done a tremendous job, 428 yards, 4 touchdowns. They had it in their hands, but this is the second time, right, for them that they just haven't been able to close it out. So that was a tough one. 2-point conversion. We saw the same thing happen on Monday night, but they didn't go for it on that one. And this one, Bengals went for it, didn't work out.
Well, it's an interesting inflection point. And one thing that I find is just very interesting is analytics' impact on sports, because there are many sports where analytics are completely derided as being, I hate that stuff. Play the game the way the game used to be. Give me my game that I grew up with. What are all these nerds with spreadsheets sitting behind computers ruining my great game? But no game is more influenced by analytics than football. The game that is the most elastic of any of the major American sports. Football changes its rules all the time. Football changes its rules literally every year. Every year, rules change. Every year, rules change to make the sport more streamlined, more offensive-oriented, attempts to mitigate injury, everything along the way. But the football that I grew up watching, a coach that went for 2 at the end of the game to win it or lose it instead of getting the tie, that was like a generational event. Tom Osborne famously went for 2 at the end of a championship game and missed in college football. It'd be like once every few years that a coach would get down there. It'd be a high school type thing to do. Like, we're big-time underdogs. We're just going to go for 2 instead of kicking the extra point. And now it's routine. Now apparently it's just the regular thing you do. If you're down 7 and you score in the last minute, you're just going to go for 2 and win it or lose it, as opposed to tying the game on. I know it's not now a 99% thing like it used to be when they lined up at the 7 or whatever, but it's still a pretty much routine extra point to tie the game. And honestly, Tampa got vilified for this on Monday. Yesterday, the Bengals, critical game, lose as the result of going for 2 and not getting the 2-point conversion. And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. All right, good job. You made the right play. I'm just amazed how quickly the Overton window moved on NFL thinking, like football thinking, because I heard Ben make this argument on the morning show, and honestly, I couldn't find any hole in his logic that in a situation like that, Lamar Jackson, 2 timeouts, 38 seconds to get Justin Tucker into field goal range. Yeah, they could probably do it either way, but when they're down 1, it's damn the torpedoes, get the ball down the field, take risks, and the odds of them getting there are pretty good. When they've got the opportunity to go to overtime, you might not lose it in the last 38 seconds. Yeah, you've got the coin flip in between, but what's the true percent? I mean, that's what they figured out is if it's 51%, if it's 52% to go for two at the end of the game, that's better than the odds you have on the road of stopping Lamar Jackson from scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, and I can understand that. Like Lamar Jackson is he had a great game too. Like Lamar Jackson is a very good quarterback. The Ravens are good. So you fall into that trap of what could happen and what did happen on Monday night with Todd Bowles. But yeah, it's one of those things I think with the 2-pointer and in those situations where, you probably could have won the game at many other points throughout the game and you're just left to that last 30 second, that last 40 seconds or minute, that last play. But it's one of those things, I think, if you make it, everyone celebrates you. If you don't, you look like an idiot and everybody, says, why did you go for it? But it's so dependent, I think, on just that particular matchup, that particular play. I don't really blame a coach for going for it if he thinks at that point that that's going to be their best chance to win. Yeah,
well, it's true, and it's changed. And I'm just, I don't know. I find it interesting how quickly it's accepted that the train of thought, because what you said was very true. It used to be, well, if you go for it, you're brilliant, and if you don't, you're an idiot. Well, no, if you go for it, you're brilliant. If you go for it and fail, you're still brilliant. It just didn't work out. It was process over result. The result didn't work out the way you wanted. But that's a sophisticated way of looking at sports. I wish that sophistication would carry over to the game of baseball a little more often than it does.
It's true. You look at baseball, there's so many other opportunities to win it, but it often comes down to that final out in the ninth inning and whoever was up to the plate and, was that person's fault or could they have gotten it done or they just didn't bloop a single into, center field or whatever. So, but as with any game, there's multiple ways to win it throughout the game. But I think that's just sports, right? It always kind of is the last play that you see that leaves the taste in your mouth, and everyone wants to be the hero.
Yeah, I absolutely. I guess my point I'm driving at is more of just of a modernization of the sport and how the NFL embraces and accepts modernization, and our beloved baseball fights against it.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, or refuses to recognize evolution. You know what's something funny? We, as Annie knows, but in the audience you don't know maybe, we always have MLB Network on one of our TVs. Just for whatever reason, we always have MLB, probably because we're a baseball show. We always have MLB Network on. This week, MLB Network has been running like nonstop during our day part these 70s baseball retrospectives. So it's going on behind Annie's head, so you're not seeing. But like right now, they're talking about Dave Winfield and just showing all this different Dave Winfield stuff. Yesterday was like 1974, just on repeat, the best of 1974. And I'm looking at Catfish Hunter with 25 wins and 140 strikeouts, in like 268 innings pitched. And I'm watching the level and the quality, and it's like, you don't get it unless you look at it anachronistically like that, how much better baseball is from a talent standpoint in 2024 than it was in 1974, where, yeah, there were good players. Oh, don't you say that about my guy. But, are you kidding me? These dudes are throwing at 86 miles an hour. They're lobbing meatballs over the plate all the time for ground ball outs. They're being asked to throw 280 innings in a year, so they're just kind of lobbing it up there. And the level of athleticism was just enough to get to where they were. Today's athletes, today's hitters, put the modern 2024 Dodgers against, screw the Dodgers, put our Padres lineup against a 1974 starting pitching staff of a winning team. And our guys are just going to kick their butts with tiny little exceptions here and there of the Nolan Ryan, who threw 100, out of his time, right? Or, certain exceptional pitchers. Short of that, I'm telling you, it's so much advanced from where it was 40, 50 years ago to where it is today. But whereas in football, that's accepted the evolution. It just continues. In baseball, it feels like every single step has to be fought against.
Yeah, I think in baseball, it just moves so much slower. I mean, we joke about it in here all the time. They're kind of 10 years behind the trends, and then they adopt them, and they're like, look at us. We just changed this or that. And it's like the other sports leagues have done that, whether it's in marketing or rules or whatever. They're so far ahead of the game. But I think that's a lot to do with, like just the probably just the tradition of the game and the fact that there's a lot of people at the top who fight against that kind of change to their detriment, I think, a lot. I mean, but then you meet so many players too who don't want to see the game changed in a lot of ways. But man, you certainly look at all the people who fought back against the pitch clock and the man-friend man and on second base in extra innings. And now, rarely do I meet an old school player who doesn't say, man, I fought against all that, but I love it now. That, even managers, you hear them say it all the time. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I love it now. It's made the game better. And that's what we want. Ultimately, you want people to tune in more. You want people to be more engaged and like the game more. And so sometimes you have to look past the fact of, is this, is this changing our great game? Yes, but is our game going to die without some of these changes? Or not die, but just fall a lot more off the map? Possibly yes. So you got to make some of those hard decisions. And I think sometimes it takes them a long time to get to that point.
Players are way more athletic than they used to be. And that's across all sports.
Absolutely. And baseball too, 100%.
It is.
They see the ball better. They hit the ball farther. They've got more power. They're better runners. They're more athletic all the way around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sports medicine has changed.
Yep.
Nutrition has changed. The understanding of what can create an athlete has changed. And yeah, you can be revanchist. You can just mark yourself a boomer and say, nah, the old ways were better. And Don Sutton would have struck out the Dodgers, 6 in a row. But I'm sorry, that's just antiquated thinking. That's just it's the same thing as saying, Lawrence Welk was way better than any of these new acts.
I mean, they were great for their time. I mean, it's just that the advances in technology and the way that you rehab and the way that you can get yourself the surgeries, that's really what's changed. The way that you can test yourself in your everyday practice and life to be able to improve because of all the technology that's available to you and all the training that's available to you. It's so different. But I remember interviewing Lance Allworth and looking at his old film. What Lance Allworth did in his time was freaking insane, and the toughness that those guys had, the toughness that those old players had, a lot of times to their detriment because they did not have, they didn't even have the helmets then that could maybe prevent a little bit against those big hits and concussions. But the comparison is more because the times have changed, not because the players weren't tough or the players weren't exceptional for their time. It's just that the ability now to be more athletic is higher than it ever was. If Lance Allworth had the ability to go do half the things that these NFL players are doing right now, he would have those same, numbers. And his numbers were still incredible at that time. Same with some of these pitchers that we talk about now that are kind of old school pitchers, but they would have if they had the technology and everything available to them.
100%. And really, it's not a matter of, hey, I'm picking on your era and telling you that your era sucked. That's not the case. It's just the whole thing of, time machine, if you could time machine this or that. The most modern player is going to be the best player. The player from 2300, God willing that the universe exists, is going to be a better player than the player today. It's the nature of it. Everything is bigger, faster, stronger all the time. Babe Ruth would be a bum if you just dropped him into Major League Baseball today. And that's not ripping what he did in his time and his era. Or Mike Schmidt or Ernie Banks or, Hank Greenberg or name whoever it is, any baseball great of the past. But today's rotation outfielder could have been, if you time moved him the other direction, could be a potential superstar. Because of the nature of the growth of the human body, the human athlete, new technology, new analytics. Some sports embrace it. Others dig their heels and say everything's worse in the past. And hilariously, that's playing out in the chat as one of our older regular contributors tells us regularly that everything was better in the past. So I get it, but that's just a point of view.
There's also a purity to the past that made it special. You know what I mean? There's a somewhat of a purity. Well, yeah, you would probably disagree with some of that.
There's a purity to memory.
There's a purity to, the way that the game was played sometimes, that you don't agree with that I think makes it a little bit more, because they didn't have the ability to look at all this game film and do all this, advanced technology and rehab and training. I think, you really just saw talent, right?
Yeah,
talent and work ethic for sure, but like, you don't agree with that?
Old soldiers used to take an injury and then the treatment was to bleed them to try, and they would die. And then they figured out modern medicine, and those people were able to be healthy. You know what I mean?
All of that.
I'm just saying, the new technology makes things better. I mean, that's not always true.
Listen, if I had a choice to get a surgery today versus a surgery 50 years ago, I would be much happier with the technology available today than 50 years ago.
And I guess that's all I'm saying, is everything from that standpoint improves. Other aspects of society can decay. We can talk about that on a different show, on a different platform. But from a sports standpoint, bigger, stronger, faster. I think it's inevitable. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, how about a little college preview for the weekend to come? We've got Aztecs football tonight, playing at home, and the college basketball season is underway as well. UC San Diego gets going tonight. We can take a look at what's happening on the weekend schedule when we come back with Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, football fans, listen up. If you need that extra edge for game day, then you need to cash the ticket. That's the podcast for football junkies with new episodes every Thursday and Friday. Mike Valenti and Jim Costa breaking down the biggest matchups, finding the best value on the board every single week. Cash the Ticket. It's the podcast to help you bet smarter on both pro and college games. Follow Cash the Ticket on the free Odyssey app, or you can do it wherever you get your podcasts. Andy and Elsten back with you, wrapping up first hour of the program. Quick look at what's going on with college sports this weekend, Andy, and starting things off with San Diego State football team hosting New Mexico. 7:30 tonight will be that kickoff. I know I'll just speak for Braden in absentia. A little sad that this is the opening weekend of high school football playoffs and that there's a major college football game going head-to-head with that. By nature, it's conflict of audience.
Is that typically the case? Or I don't know. I don't have enough contrast to know.
College football is supposed to be played on Saturday.
Right, but
it's only this Mountain West deal that throws a game onto a Friday night.
Well.
And then, throws a monkey wrench into what should be a great night of celebrating high school football around the county. But yeah, TV rules everything as usual.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Hopefully people can make it out to both or send your parties different directions and support both. Hopefully they'll both get good audiences. But yeah, a little bit of a different deal then with the TV deal. Lobos are 3-2 in their last 5. They've lost their last 2. San Diego State 2-3 in their last 5. They've also lost their last 2. So I think this matches up pretty well.
Yeah, really, the Aztecs have lost their last 2, but that was 2 teams they're supposed to lose to. They lost to Washington State.
Boise.
Yeah, and that was a close game. They went to Boise State. They got trucked. They were supposed to get trucked in that game. So I'm looking at tonight as a game the Aztecs need to win. The last time they were at home, I said I just wanted to see them show well against Washington State. It would be great if they won, but that's probably not the level they're at yet. They fulfilled those meager hopes and showed well against Washington State. Couldn't close the deal. Tonight's that night for progress. Close the deal against a New Mexico team that gives up a ton of points. Maybe this is a night for Aztec Fast to quicken up a little bit, to maybe get that ball out on the wing, get the ball vertical a little bit and see if this Aztecs offense can take flight.
And in a quote to Kirk Kenney of the UT, Sean Lewis said, "Hey, Boise State, right? That was a tough one." He said, quote, "Sometimes part of this learning process, the growth and mastering skill and building the culture, it can be pretty messy. And sometimes that means getting punched in the face and taking a good old American ass whooping." Hey, Sean Lewis, I get it. I agree. That's what happens sometimes. So he points out maybe that can stimulate growth. And I think that's what they're looking for, absolutely, as you take on New Mexico. And, could be a shootout, could be seeing both teams there. The Lobos have scored more than 30 points 6 times. Like you mentioned, you might be some more Aztec Fast to light up the scoreboard, and maybe that's something that you're going to see this game as well. They're going to have to figure out a way to slow that quarterback. I think it's Dampier, Devin Dampier. Is that
Devin Dampier.
Devin Dampier. They're going to have to dampen Devin Dampier.
Well, he dampens things when he throws picks. He's thrown 12
There you
picks.
go.
So, yeah, just ball hawk. Ball hawk, the Lobos' reckless quarterback. He's slinging it all over the place.
He's rushed for 13 touchdowns on the season and passed for 10 TDs, but he's got 12 interceptions. So, yeah, you want to try to take advantage of those.
By transitive property, Aztecs will win because New Mexico lost to Wyoming at home, whereas the Padres, I did it twice, whereas the Aztecs went to Wyoming and won. So, therefore, we're better than them.
Well, and there's the field advantage. So,
there it is. Well,
yes.
The field advantage. This is actually the only thing I really, really want to know about tonight's game. I'd like to see the Aztecs win. That'd be great. Good on you, Coach Lewis. But what's that field looking like?
And how's that defense also going to look for SDSU? I mean, it's been tested. They've had some injuries, so some linebacker injuries as well there. So I think that, the turf is going to be a story. The health-wise is that, how much that might hurt them is going to be a story. And then seeing these quarterbacks really, I think you're right, like really trying to take a step up here with this Aztec Fast and, trying to rebound from that game last week. That, yes, you were not, Boise was definitely a team that you don't feel like you want to wallow in sadness about because they're so good, and you figured that wasn't a game that was going to be all that close. But this is a chance right now to go ahead and put some of those Aztec fast techniques into motion.
Meanwhile, college basketball continuing apace. If you are not of the mood to take in football at all, high school or college, this evening around San Diego County, you could see either USD or UCSD in action. University of San Diego is playing host to Boston University tonight, 7 o'clock at Jenny Craig Pavilion. Toreros lost by 1 to Ryder at home on Wednesday night. So looking for a little bit of a bounce back against BU. The UCSD Tritons are hosting Pepperdine at Lion Tree Arena tonight. Tritons, who lost to San Diego State on Wednesday night, but played them hard and led into pretty late into the second half. They're going to look to kind of get the rest of their season rolling. Home game against Pepperdine. Pepperdine beat Western Illinois earlier this week, so they are 1-0. But this would be a great one to watch. You can stream both those games on ESPN Plus if you happen to have it. They both tip at 7 today. But here we go. You know, you've got college options. You got college football down at the Snap. And you got college basketball on 2 respective local hard courts or on your stream.
And you have high school playoffs.
High school playoffs everywhere.
So you have a good slate in San Diego to go out and check out some good student athletes doing their thing and supporting them, which is always a good time.
Let's see what our buddy John Mapp. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is the week where all the best schools in San Diego high school get to rest. It's the bye week. It's the opening week of playoffs. So this is where there's going to be some kind of wackadoodle matchups if you go up and down and you find the 0-10 teams that found their way into the playoffs. For example, Mira Mesa, a 6 seed, 0-10, hosting 11th seed Sweetwater today. But games all over the place. Find your local school. Go check it out in the newspaper. You know, Del Norte, Oceanside, Santa Fe Christian, Mount Miguel. All the top teams are waiting for this week's winners to come and then be big-time underdogs over the course of next Friday's playoffs. And that's when Braden gets back at it. He was saying how much he hates a bye week because Cathedral has a bye week because they're, you know, really, really good.
It's a humble brag right there, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I hate a bye week. My team's ready to go.
Yeah.
They're ready to put a pounding on someone.
Well, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Almost undoubtedly. I mean, they're either going to make the Open Division semifinals or finals, depending on how they do. But that's our buddy Braden. He's off today. Italian Paul is here. Frank Marchese, great to have you here. Hour number 1 is in the books. When we come back on the show, plenty more to get to you, including Padre priorities for the next few weeks. Roki Sasaki, Ha-Sung Kim, Jurickson Profar. You know what? We can throw it in a gumbo and talk about it some more.
Some interesting stories, a little bit of interest coming out here, and some things to talk about.
I've got another wacky trade idea, too. Yeah, I'm back on that tip. Back with more Annie and Elsten next. Hour number 2 of Annie and Elsten with you on a Friday. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Frank Marchese in for Braden Soprenet. Braden will be back on Tuesday. We will be off on Monday for Veterans Day. Hope you get the day off too. Look forward to reconvening in 3 days. Only real big local sports news for the morning is that Ruben Niebla has agreed to a new multi-year contract to return to the San Diego Padres coaching staff underneath Mike Shildt. So basically just promises made, promises kept here, because we heard A.J. Preller and Mike Shildt over the course of the last 48 hours say that they expect the entire coaching staff to come back. That includes Ruben Niebla, obviously, and getting him done on a multi-year deal is awesome.
Yeah, I imagine that's the first on their list after getting Mike Shildt done. And from here, they'll probably go ahead and secure the rest of them. You get worked down. Maybe if someone's asking for a little bit of different terms, you got to work that through. But other than that, I expect this to go as planned over the next week or two as they finalize all these deals. But Ruben coming back is awesome. I mean, look, he has been just an absolute impact on this pitching staff. Doesn't seem like, any arm phases him. And certainly hearing from pitchers, they love working with him. They love the fact that he's open to new ideas. They love the fact that he tells them straight, hey, maybe don't do this, maybe do this. Like, this outing wasn't very good. Like, we got to get better. Like, he's he's a sharpshooter with them, but he's also open to letting them experiment and try things and pick spots in the game where they can use a new pitch or use their abilities a little bit more that they feel like they've honed. So many pitching coaches will just say, hey, you got to do this, 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 and not deviate at all. And Ruben will partner on you way more, and I also think, look at what happened with Josh Hader. Look at what happened with so many, Seth Lugo. Now you have Michael King. He's been able to work guys back from difficult spots in their careers, but also work them from a reliever role into the starting rotation role very successfully. So, a ton of credit to Ruben Niebla for what he's been able to do. And multi-year, so don't have to do this again next year.
Yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness, yeah. Always like the multi-year, especially on stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So that is just great news for the San Diego Padres. It seems like a small thing, but keeping a great coach in place is a big thing for the San Diego Padres. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of different avenues of reporting from our favorite Padres reporters in terms of what's next for the San Diego Padres. Finalizing, for example, AJ Cassavell put out a new piece at MLB.com. First thing, finalize the coaching staff. Okay, tick that box. Mm-hmm. For the most part, we're doing that. Part 2, make a move on Jurickson Profar. Okay, we'll talk about that. Get to shortstop. That kind of mirrors what Kevin Acee wrote in terms of, let's give Xander Bogaerts a little runway this winter to let him know what position he's going to be at. Maybe that's where I want to pause for a second, because last year, I believe that the Padres weren't just flaking on telling Xander Bogaerts that he was going to move to second base. I'll put that off. We'll wait. Oh, you're walking in the door. Hey, buddy. I don't think that was the case. I think they were actively exploring Ha-Sung Kim trades right up to the point that their last potential suitor decided to drop off the hook. And at that point, they're like, okay, no trades for Kim. Kim's back. Now we're going to decide what to do with Ha-Sung Kim. As such, if they're saying, well, we're going to give Xander a better idea, it means that the two other guys who are part of the sliding portions of the Padres infield, those decisions have to be made pretty quick. And I mean Luis Arraez and Jake Cronenworth. Do you hang on to Cronenworth? Do you seek a trade for Cronenworth? You don't spend the whole winter looking for that if you want to give Xander Bogaerts positional certainty.
Yes, and that's going to be some of those things I think that they'll have to answer too, like when he knows the budget and what he's working with. But a few interesting things on that. Yeah, I think it was interesting when A.J. Preller said, and he said this also in his end of season press conference that he had a few weeks ago. He said that they could have handled it better last year. And it also points out, I mean, this wasn't a Mike Shildt decision. This was a front office decision in moving Xander Bogaerts. I still don't know exactly. I guess maybe you're trying to get that edge at shortstop for a year, and then you're figuring you'll just deal with it once he leaves in free agency after that. But the point is that A.J. Preller is pointing out several times now that they would like to let Xander know sooner rather than later what position he's playing at so he can work on that over the offseason and you don't have a repeat of what happened last year. Maybe they look at Jake Cronenworth as someone that can be moved. I suppose that he's got a contract that is movable. And then what is your take on that? Because you think you're getting something back in return that would really, I don't know if moving him would be better than keeping him, you know?
Yeah. Well, he's kind of, I feel his last season, that level of play is enough to justify the average annual value of his contract.
Yeah.
If you play,
2 WAR.
Yeah, exactly. Two-ish WAR, good defense, positional versatility, a little bit of left-handed thump, but a generally decent bat for you. Doesn't kill you at the plate. Jake is prone to some slumps. He runs hot and cold a little bit, but nonetheless, he's a good player. A year ago, he was not playing at the level of his contract. Even though his contract is fairly affordable, he was playing under it. And that made it look like, oh my gosh, if you ever tried to trade Jake Cronenworth, you'd have to attach a prospect or you'd have to attach $40 million or something like that. I don't think that's the case based off of last year. If you look at last year, if you look at 2022, I feel like those 2 years, he's playing very much at the level of his deal, which would open him up for suitors. I mean, a left-handed hitting second baseman with pretty good defense. I think there's plenty of teams that would at least have some interest in that. If his contract was 4 or 5 years instead of the wacky 7-year deal, it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, and he's 30 years old. His birthday is January 21st, so he'll be 31 in January, and he still has, so he signed that 7-year contract in 2023, so I don't do math, but he's through the 2030 season.
Yes.
So you still, if you're another team, you're kind of taking it on. This is nothing against Jake. I think any long-term contract you take on and you figure the last years of the contract when they're heading into those late 30s are 50-50. Like you hope that you're going to get something good, but you might not. So perhaps there is something there. Maybe a team takes him on. Maybe the Padres pay a little of that. Maybe they attach someone to Jake Cronenworth that makes it more lucrative. I would hate to see him go, but if they are looking at getting creative, you would imagine that he would be one that they would at least look at.
Well, you've also got Luis Ariz, right? Yeah. And you've got a decision to make on Luis Ariz. Are you going to sign him to a long-term contract? Are you going to pay him his agreed-upon deal because the Padres don't go to arbitration under A.J. Preller? Do you whatever that deal is, $14 million, $13.5 million, $15 million, you just pay Luis for a year? And then what do you do at the end of next year when he becomes a free agent? Is he of the value of a qualifying offer? I don't know. He's kind of a sticky case. So that's why, trust me, that's why Luis Ariz, in the passion of the moment at the end of the season, said into reporters' mics, like, please don't trade me, Padres.
He was unprompted, too. He was prompted a little on a few, but he went unprompted as well, saying, like, I want to be here. I will be better. I'm going to get that thumb surgery. You're going to see an even more improved version of Luis Ariz. I think they value Luis Ariz a lot. And I think looking at what A.J. Preller told Kevin Acee, and I'm surprised you're not leading with this because this is right up your alley, that they want him to walk more.
I was hanging on to it. Yeah, I was hanging on to it right over here.
And that they expect him to lead off. The question is, and you and I both thought that they might sign him to a multi-year contract, and now it's like maybe they're not thinking of that because they're looking at, hey, he's going to cost us a lot, but we value him. If they don't sign him to a multi-year contract, essentially that entire 12 to 15 million that he's going to get counts against the CBT, right? Or no?
Yeah, absolutely it would.
So,
yeah.
Gosh, like that's a... But maybe that's... you also got to wonder what Luis Ariz wants. Maybe he doesn't want... maybe if the numbers aren't lining up with him, he wants to just go to free agency. And maybe the Padres aren't even offering something because they don't have the ability to do that right now. So those are all things that we don't know. But I think that they hold on to Luis Ariz. That's a total uneducated. Educated a little bit in my education.
Yeah, it is an educated.
It's a guess.
Yeah, it's an educated guess for sure. I think the last thing you said right there when you were kind of listing things out is one I'm hanging on to, which is I don't know if they can do a Luis Ariz.
I don't know if they can either.
Extension at this time. But if they can, is it the right idea? And then you get back into the question of how much can you pay a positionless player? Because are you really going to play Luis Arraez at first base like year after year?
I'm telling you, man.
A dude who's 5'8".
AJ Preller's going to move him out to left field. I'm just saying, is it going to happen?
It could happen. It actually, if Profar walks, it's not impossible that they try and make a play like that. And then is he even a good or decent outfielder, or is he an outfield liability? It's hard to say. But you did bring it up, and so I will note that this was a straw man. Once Luis Arraez came to town, was like, how dare you say that Luis Arraez should stop swinging at pitches 3 inches outside the zone? How dare you say that he shouldn't swing at pitches above the strike zone and above his chest? That's Luis Arraez. You'd be taking away his magic sauce if you didn't let him swing at pitches way outside the strike zone. AJ Preller saying, I think he's got to tighten it up and take the on-base percentage higher. Because, that's how you hit better, is not swinging at the pitcher's pitch outside the zone. Yeah, you can hit some of them for hits, and you still can do that. But take that walk rate up from 3% where it was last year and get it back to 8% where it's been in his career, and all of a sudden you've got a dude who's on base all the time. That's how you score runs.
The big thing here, and you've pointed this out, the big thing here is that he brought a 7.9% walk rate into 2024.
Right.
And it got cut in half. And, I don't hold a lot. I mean, look, Luis Arraez, again, changed teams. Again, had the thumb injury. Maybe he wanted to get that contact a little more, seeing some people vying for that batting title. I don't know, but I would imagine that he's going to take this to heart. Luis Arraez is the kind of player that wants to please the team and do well by the team. And so I would imagine that and I don't know what they told him this year. Hey, go out, be you, do your thing.
Right.
I'm not sure
if they told
him anything. Right. So, you know that this is now being talked about because AJ Preller's talking about it. So you would imagine that this would be something that they're going to go ahead and have a talk with him about, and he's going to probably, I would imagine, put into action, and you'll see that walk rate improve. He's done it before, so there's no reason to think he can't do it again.
That is absolutely correct. And when you look at what he did this year in the playoffs, he went 4 for 22 against the Dodgers with no walks. So, that's devastating. When your number one guy, when the guy that you're committing your highest percentage of at-bats to in the lineup gets 4 hits, all singles, no walks, no runs, no RBI, like 2 runs, no RBI, devastating to your team.
I am the biggest person to be like, Luis Arraez sets a tone. You love him at leadoff. He sets a tone. But I will give this to Fangraphs guy who
Ben Clemens.
Thank you. Ben, sorry about your name, but Ben, where I kind of think here's AJ Preller saying they're already looking forward to Luis Arraez batting leadoff. If you know he's going to hit and he can move the runners, and I know it's only once in a game. I mean, technically after that first time that he goes up to the plate, there probably could be runners on base based on the bottom of the order that he's able to hit in. But kind of wondering, hey, man, do you move him a little bit down the lineup and you let him move a runner over at least?
Well, here's what I think before we, we'll wrap this and go to break, but this is Craig's rampant speculation. Okay, no reporting here, but this is me reading the tea leaves, taking the words and trying to read the intent behind the words. If Luis Arraez was not going to start taking a couple more pitches, if he's just going to be a wild swinger, then I want to 100% move him down because he's costing us on base percentage. And so if he's only going to get hits, I want those hits to score runs. I'll say it another way, too. If the Padres somehow, some way, re-up with Jerks and Profar.
Sure. I think
lead off Profar.
You lead off Profar. Yeah.
Lead off Jerks.
Because he sets a tone, too.
He sets a tone, and part of that tone is taking pitches.
Yeah.
And that tone is super important to a team. Luis taking that first pitch and then grounding the second pitch to second base doesn't help Tatis, doesn't help Machado, doesn't help Merrill to, in their first at bat. Profar usually helps. But if you don't have Jurickson, to me, what AJ's trying to do here is
Yeah.
plant a seed in Luis Arise during his rehab to say, like, I need to get back to being the true leadoff hitter
Yeah.
that I was in Minnesota and in Miami. I need to get that back, and that's going to help me hit 370.
And that's going to help the Padres too. I mean, you get back to that guy and you have him leading off. Like, you're right. He's going to be able to work the walk, see more pitches, help the guys behind him, put some pressure on the pitcher, and then also get those really good hits when he wants to. Get the single, get the double. Every once in a while, he'll go for a home run. Like, Luis Ariz will get it done most of the time, you know? So I absolutely agree. Then you get into more the prototypical leadoff hitter, and then you have an even better lineup.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for a Luis Arise that's not just a tough at bat because he can hit any pitch, but he's a devilishly tough at bat because he also doesn't bite on your chase pitches.
And then you get him on base, and then you let Xander, Tatis, Manny do their work behind him as well.
Yeah, bring him around. Bring him around, and Merrill. You've got the
Merrill.
You've got
Merrill
the
will be
studs.
moved up, yes.
Yeah, Merrill, who I'm going to start advocating to bat third right now. And every day between here and when they write their first lineup in spring training. Okay, we'll come back and talk a little more Padres baseball here in the 11 a.m. hour. Another report out of the winter meetings involving the Tampa Bay Rays, how maybe this could twist into a potential Padres move. Let's talk about it. It would be risky, but we'll talk about it.
Wait, are they signing Juan Soto?
The Rays?
Yeah.
They're offering.
Okay.
They're offering. They're offering a slightly dilapidated stadium that they can rename Juan Soto Ballpark.
I kid, but they did offer Freddie
Yeah.
Freeman a huge, the biggest contract, I think.
They did.
Right? But you just got to know that you're probably going to get traded. But what if Juan Soto played and for the minor league ballpark of the Rays?
Juan
That'd be
Soto
amazing.
running
Or
out.
the Disney Universe ballpark.
Running out in Dunedin next April.
What would baseball do? Baseball would lose their minds.
I guarantee you would not get a Ken Rosenthal "This is good for baseball" column
no.
like you will when he signs with the Mets.
All right.
When he signs with Frank's beloved Mets. By the way, you're giving Frank anxiety. He's already mentally penciled Soto into the Mets lineup for next year.
We got to find out what Frank's view on the Mets is right now, and Steve Cohen meeting. Well, we've got to go to break.
He's
we
very
don't gotta go to
fatalistic.
break.
Yeah, we do have to go to break.
we do have to go to break.
Yeah, we have
Never
to go
mind.
to break.
My
He's
bad.
very fatalistic about the Mets. I've heard it before. He guaranteed that they would get swept by us when they didn't. When they didn't. Jerk. I thought about that. 11:18 is the time. It's Andy and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:23 on the Fan and on Annie and Elsten. Reminding you, the Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. While you're listening to the station, you can see what you missed. Click to listen on demand. That's if you're inside the Odyssey app. Missed a guest or anything else, download the free Odyssey app. Search 97.3 The Fan. You can tap earlier today and begin your journey of backwards listening to things from the past in the future. All right, here we go. Let's roll into some more baseball talk. We're kind of wrapping up, recapping the GM meetings, thinking about the rampant speculation that has fallen out of that. At the very beginning of the Annie and Elsten show, I used to regale upon Annie and Braden a different trade idea every day for A.J. Preller and the Padres. Now I'm more of just kind of like following where the waves are taking us, Annie. And one of the things I read over the last 48 hours was that the Tampa Bay Rays, future home of superstar Juan Soto, I just said that like it was serious and no one reacted. So Juan Soto's future team, the Tampa Bay Rays, they are interested in improving their catcher position, and specifically, they're looking for a little more offense from the catching position, which made me wonder, are the Tampa Bay Rays the kind of team that might squint and look at Luis Campusano's minor league numbers and some of his advanced stats and his bat speed and other things and say, we can fix him. We can take him and get him to stop chasing at pitches outside the zone, tinker with his stance, simplify things, and maybe we can turn him into an offensive weapon. Could the Rays be a fit if the Padres are looking to move off Luis Campusano?
I think so. I think the Rays don't back down from a challenge. I think the Rays are very confident in their ability to have successful player development. Doesn't mean it's going to work all the time, but they've got a way that they do things, and it's sort of like when they assess a player, they typically plug and play into how they can improve that player. So I think so. I think that there's going to be teams that can look at Luis Campusano and say, hey, hasn't worked out. Maybe a change of scenery does this guy well. Maybe we're able to capitalize. Maybe we use him in a different role than the Padres are using him. Maybe he's not our full-time catcher. Maybe he's, whatever, So maybe we view him at first base. Like, who knows, Yeah. So you just never know how someone's looking at a player and how they might have relationships, too, from the past that they know this player for some reason and want to take the flyer on him.
Now, I brought this up on Inside San Diego Baseball every Wednesday night, 7 p.m.
Shout out Sam Levitt
Yeah.
and Frank.
I brought this up then about focusing on the youth as far as the catcher and shortstop positions go. Bring Higashioka back for 3 years, assuming that Salas will be ready for 26.
Mm-hmm.
I would trade Campusano then, have Higgy start, Salas back him up, and then for 27, have Salas start with Higashioka, that veteran presence,
right,
teaching him the way, and having Salas start in 27. Also brought up as far as shortstop is concerned, signing a guy possibly like Carlos Santana.
Mm-hmm.
I understand he's about to be 40, but he just won his first Gold Glove. He can split time at first base with Luis Ariz. That moves Cronenworth back to second, Bogarts back to short. Then, by the time that 2-year deal for Santana is done, move Bogey and Cron back, and then DeVries should be ready to go by 27.
Right.
So,
I like that you've mapped this out.
Stopgaps and bridges to help get these guys ready and in.
I like everything that you're laying down there. I don't think that these two ideas, though, are mutually exclusive in that Luis Campusano's level of production for the San Diego Padres, just in real talk, the things he's actually put on the board could be replaced by almost anyone. Because in particular, he was about the worst defensive catcher in baseball last year.
Yeah.
By number.
And he does have more controllable years now, so you can
Correct.
trade him now and have a team take on the controllable years. I like everything you're thinking through. I do think that you want to line up Salas with hopefully, like a Kyle Higashioka would be amazing if you're able to line those paths to cross.
Yeah.
And just have a little bit of a veteran catcher there, whoever it is, someone that they trust, that is able to help shepherd Ethan Salas into the big leagues. I think that that's a big deal if you can make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can give Kyle Higashioka 3 years right now, but then again, maybe.
I
mean,
think they could.
They could? Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, because if you really look at it, what's
not gonna
that
be that
going to
high.
look like?
Right.
Exactly. That might be a 3-year, $10 million deal.
I mean, they like him a lot, and he is very good at his job, and I think that'd be a great pickup for the Padres.
But I love the sequencing you're doing there, because if you sign Higashioka, now you've got an option even this winter, because yes, you could have Campusano be a timeshare next year. You could try and run that back. You could see if maybe the Padres are the team that rehabilitates Luis offensively, and then you get a young control. I mean, that would be my real counter argument to myself is like, do you even want to move off Campusano at all? Or is there more value in a inexpensive player, which Luis will be next year, that could potentially raise his ceiling to a much higher level? However,
Yeah.
if you've made that call, if you've signed Higashioka to a 3-year deal, Salas is on the way. Now Campusano's future here, is coming to a pointy end in a near time. Well, now you could trade him because, honestly, a year of Brandon Valenzuela or a year of name your random-ass catcher.
You pick up an Elias Diaz.
Right.
You pick up, right.
Yeah, Danny Jansen, anyone. I mean, honestly, someone worse than that. Tucker Barnhart, anybody. You could go get random replacement catcher. Higgy and that dude swap a year. Sully comes up for the 3 weeks that someone's hurt. And then by 26, there we go. Succession plan in place.
Yeah. What they're doing with Campy is going to be, it is a big talking point. What are you going to do with him? And then maybe that does depend on what you're able to do with Kyle Higashioka, or how you're able to bring on another catcher if possible or not. But I don't know that you can go back to him as your full-time catcher.
I feel confident that the Padres and Higashioka are swimming in the same pool.
Well, they're
right
surfing
now.
in the same pool.
Yeah, surfing in that's what. Well, in
I
that
don't
case, they
really
should be
see
surfing off the same pier.
Either of the Eric surfing, but I know that Kyle surfs well. So.
Yes. Well, that would be an interesting question. Higashioka's like, I'm down to re-sign with you guys, but both you Erics need to join me off of Huntington Beach, off the pier, and then I'll sign.
If it was me, because Trevor Hoffman surfs,
Yes.
you just throw Trevor out there, get the deal done with Higashioka, call it a day. Let Trevor know your terms, get it done.
He's the official maritime general manager. He handles all contracts done offshore. Anything off the side.
Yes.
Preller still has all the solid land, but anything offshore, that's
right.
Hoffman's province.
And not in a boat either.
No, not
on
on
a board.
No, they're the real deal.
Yeah,
and
barefoot
then,
on a board.
And then I think also Trevor probably plays a little guitar. So then afterwards, you have a little concert on the beach, a little
Right.
bonfire. Joe Musgrove
Bonfire.
and the rest of the pitchers join.
Show
Because this
up.
is something to be celebrated.
This is it.
Yes, just like they had last year, that really cool bonfire setup. And there you go.
Amazing.
We've just gotten it done.
They're just
Yeah.
they're playing old Warrant songs on the guitar and just crooning, celebrating. I love this plan. I do think what I really think is that Kyle Higashioka probably doesn't have another team that's waiting to offer him a starting job in Major League Baseball. I think there's probably a couple, 3 other teams that will contact his agent and say, we really like what Kyle did. We'd be interested to bring him in as the back end of a timeshare with this other guy that we've got, compete to be our backup catcher. And I don't know that there's a ton that would trust Higashioka to just, walk in off the street, be our number 1 catcher. Right now, the Padres can say that to Kyle. They can say, come on in. You're our number 1 catcher. You're our opening day catcher. We know how you handle our staff. We know how you work with our coaching staff. We believe in what you can do. I think that's going to be a really salient point to bring Kyle Higashioka back without him saying, pay me the absolute most, which is what Cleveland's offering me to team up with Austin Hedges or whatever.
And another thing I just thought of, if you're insistent on keeping Waldron in the rotation, Higgy was Waldron's guy. You going to train another catcher to catch that knuckleball?
You never know. Some guys just can't do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, We wound up, I think I'm right in saying we wound up getting Josh Bard in a trade because he couldn't catch Tim Wakefield's knuckleball. And so they were forced to get their guy back from us, and we got Josh Bard, and then Josh Bard had like a 400 on-base percentage and helped the Padres win the NOS.
I don't mind taking a flyer on Carlos Santana. I don't know where I guess if you needed a first baseman, like he's one that I think you could, if you're AJ Preller and you're trying to take some of these flyers, and hopefully they get back Solano and Peralta, right? But then you're able to utilize Santana, and you're right. He just won his first Gold Glove. He had a good year. I mean,
you could get
him not too expensive.
You could give Carlos Santana 350 at bats as a first baseman, 150 at bats as a DH. Flip-flop that for a Rise, give a Rise 350 at-bats as a DH, 350 at-bats as a first base. You could really split things up there. Santana really hits lefties, so that's another thing that you could think about is doubling up and giving a Rise a day off against a lefty, having Santana play first base that day, have a right-handed hitting DH that day. There's ways that the team could get a little more flexible. Santana offers a lot of that. The question for any player at that stage of the career is, do you get stuck with the Nelson Cruz goodbye year, or the Matt Carpenter goodbye year where they just wind up being functionally useless because they've lost their bat speed? But hey, I was advocating Santana last year to come to San Diego.
It would depend on how much you could sign him for too. If it's money that you're willing to part with, or you're okay to part with if you have to, versus money that's going to hurt a little bit more.
It's going to be $4 or $5 million for Carlos Santana.
It's going to hurt a little bit more. So,
if we can afford a $5 million player, can't we?
I mean, look at what happened with what's his name, Chapman, or not Chapman, Carpenter. I mean, he was $6 million, and they didn't want to let him go until they had to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the downside of a guy like that. But I mean, Carlos Santana. Okay, he made 5.2 last year. He had a good year. The year before that, 6.7. The year before that, 10.5. He's been getting cheaper because he's getting older. He'll be 39 next year.
I think you can pick him up.
Yeah.
He's still good.
You could sign him for a 1+1. A classic AJ.
Incentive-laced contract.
1+1. You play good enough, you can go back out there at age 40. You play bad enough, we're stuck with you next year, And then we attach you to a prospect and trade you to the Braves or whatever, I love Frank's plan.
I love the fact that you have really thought this out. We're like 3-4 years ahead here, Frank.
The Frank
I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I'm not as stupid as I look.
No, I didn't say you look stupid at all. I think you're very smart.
No, I'm not saying you said that.
Just whatever level of intelligence you assign to his face.
Just my family, my friends.
I'll vouch for you then. Yes.
Fair enough. It's the choices you've made along the way, Frank, that they've judged you for, but that's okay.
I've made plenty of those.
We'll continue with some offseason primers for the Padres as we roll on here in this 11 a.m. hour, which is not a Padres deep dive hour and yet feels eerily like one. We're back with more Annie and Elsten. Stay right there. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Don't let AI dictate your fantasy lineup. Instead, get bite-sized fantasy football analysis in your ears. Listen to the Sleeper King podcast, giving you all the fantasy insight you'll need in just 20 minutes every day. Every league has a Sleeper King. It should be you. Follow the Sleeper King on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Annie and Elsten back with you. 12 o'clock Sports Fix coming up. Frank, what's your opinion on the 12 o'clock Sports Fix? You feeling good? You locked in?
I think it's going to come at 12 o'clock, and we're going to fix some sports.
I think that's fair. That's fair. Now, I've just lobbed Braden's responsibilities to you on this. Are you ready to talk NFL and college sports?
Yes, I'm getting there.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not due till, just like many of a report that I finished
not due
late.
for another 20 minutes.
Solid 20 minutes.
You'll be ready when the moment comes. Don't worry.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You've got a solid 20 minutes. I will not talk to you about your weight loss journey right now. I'm going to give you that opportunity.
That's fine.
We can do that at 12:20. We can kick to that at 12:20. Meanwhile, Annie and I talking some more baseball here with you. Talking about both AJ Cassavell, Kevin Acee, writing a couple, off-season click it weekend. Think about it.
Weekend after the GM meetings. Hey, here's what came out of it. Here's some conversations we had. All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. A name that we saw, I think it was Jim Bowden a week ago that we talked about. Ace dropped into his last piece, which is 35-year-old Japanese right-hander Tomoyuki Sagano posted. He will be coming to the United States this year. He won 136 games in 12 seasons in Japan. He's no spring chicken. A lot of innings on that arm. But Tomoyuki Sagano, we know that the Padres currently have a pretty solid top three in Darvish, Cease, and Michael King. You're probably looking for floor raisers in your 4 and 5 spots. In other words, guys who can prevent catastrophe. Sagano could be a really interesting flyer, and on the heels of some of the other softer tossers like Shoto Imagana that came over and succeeded this year, I think that at least makes it look like a more wise pursuit.
Whatever I'm not sure what the cost would be on him. I don't even see projections anywhere on what he might, and I do think something that AJ Preller had in, I think the UT article that he said to Kevin Acee was, well, Martin Perez is a free agent. And it kind of sounded like then the door closed, He's a free agent. We're not bringing him back. I could be wrong on that, but it didn't seem like they were exploring that option. So, right, you got to look at who else is out there. And interestingly, he has tried to come to MLB before and failed to make a MLB contract, right? And then been sent back to the Nippon Professional Baseball League or the Nippon Ham Fighters or whatever it is. I don't know his team.
It's okay.
I feel like I'm saying it wrong. It's Nippon Professional Baseball.
Yeah.
So
the NPB.
The NPB, right. So they call him, Jeff Passan called him the most successful Japanese pitcher of his generation to have spent his whole career in Nippon Professional Baseball. What does that mean? How will he translate to the actual major leagues and stateside? He's 35 years old. You got to figure he's got obviously a ton of experience. Might be a little bit of an adjustment period, but also a very smart pitcher, I'm sure, that can acclimate as quickly as possible in that situation. He's someone that if you can get him at the right price, I think that the Padres would be high on. They like to find these types of deals.
Yeah. Yomiuri Giants, the team for Sagano, who twice won the Japanese League's equivalent of Cy Young. But when you do look at his numbers and then you kind of put it through the mental translator to big league baseball, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a command pitcher.
6-pitch mix.
Yeah. Last year, 156 innings, only 111 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. That's those 1970s numbers I was joking about a couple segments ago. Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to play stateside.
140 in 2022, 149 innings, 105 strikeouts. Going back a few years, then he was closer to 1 strikeout per inning when he was in his 20s. Now he's going to be 35.
6'1", 210 pounds.
Yeah, not a huge dude. I'm sure he would give you a crafty at bat.
He would, and you're partnering there with Yu Darvish, who also has many, many pitches and can kind of help facilitate that. I mean, he's obviously also able to get the strikeout.
Yeah.
He's
got 3,000 professional
yeah.
strikeouts. This dude has 1,500 in 12 years.
You can teach him something.
Of baseball.
I don't know. Well, he will post for you. I mean, that's one thing that if you are looking to, you want to have more than an innings eater. You want to have someone who can not only eat innings, but can win most of the time. Maybe in the back end of your rotation, not going to win every time, but you want to be able to give you a chance. I think that's the risk reward here. You know, you've got someone who's going to give you probably a lot of innings. He's able to get through quite a few innings. He doubled his inning output last year. So maybe he's someone that you do take a flyer on, but it does look a little risky.
Yeah. I'm just looking, and Imanaga is not a fair comparison. Imanaga was striking out over a batter per inning and is significantly younger. You know, he came to the major leagues at age 30. So Sagano would be more like I'm thinking like a Kenta Maeda type swingman, hanging on to the fifth spot, lightning in a bottle. You get a Fernando Valenzuela 1996 type season, you know, where he guts out a 3.5 ERA and starts 30 games for you.
You know, you could consider that, especially if you're looking at Brian Hoeing having a different role. And I don't know what the role is for Brian Hoeing. So whether you're moving him or you're able to use him in some more high leverage situations, depending on how you utilize the rest of that bullpen. You don't want too many guys in there that are more low leverage, right? You want the right balance.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yesterday I talked about the potential that the Padres could, you know, think about trading Robert Suarez, but the only reason for that is you've got Adam, you've got Estrada, you've got Morejon. Hoeing, a guy that could theoretically move up the leverage ladder a little bit. Plus, you've got the ability to go find the next one of those guys because you've got Ruben Niebla now for multiple years. And I honestly, and you know, wholeheartedly believe that's a weapon for the Padres organization, is the chance to take someone else's waiver wire guy and turn it into your leverage reliever because Niebla figures something out.
It is, and they're really good at it. Ben Fritz, Ruben Niebla, that whole pitching staff there, they're very good at it. And so you imagine working under the parameters that they are with their payroll, assuming that they're going to need to take some flyers and find some of these needles in the haystacks. And they've done it. They've done it with Seth Lugo. They've done it with Michael King. Well, that was a trade. But, you know, in terms of him being able to withstand the whole season in the rotation and doing well, you've done it with plenty of relievers. Now, you've missed on some relievers, too. And you're still going to you're hoping for Matsui to take another step this year. You need Wandy Peralta to be a better version of himself. So, but you definitely can go out there and try to find the next Jeremiah Estrada. Someone that the Cubs said, nope, not our guy anymore. Don't even really know what his strengths are.
Right.
And the Padres were like, yep, we'll figure those out for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. We'll take that stuff plus and we'll work we'll work with it. You've got a fastball with that much vertical ride. Let's go ahead and figure out how we can make you an impact pitcher.
The other thing that I think was interesting in that article that Kevin wrote was talking about how the assumed payroll might be jumping to 210 million. And at first I was like, well, that's pretty good. I mean, they were at 170.
Right.
So that's another 40 million if it goes that high. It's a guess. We don't know what their payroll is going to be, and neither does Kevin, but he's taking an educated guess there from what he's been hearing. So say it goes that high. The problem is, and this is what I had to think about after, it's already guaranteed money to guys that are there. Yeah.
It's already there. So what do we use all the time? Jason R.R. Martinez's a roster resource.
Yeah, we talked about it this week. Yeah.
Right now, today, the 2025 estimated payroll is $211 million. So
and that's a jump from last year.
It is, but when they're like, hey, payroll's going to jump to 210, 211, all that means is, hey, we stood still and everything got more expensive.
That's right. Inflation came big time for us.
Yeah, and in this case, it's not the price of eggs, it's the price of players.
Right.
And many of these are pills AJ put on the road for him to have to swallow as players get more expensive. He boxes himself into corners. But the thing I'm going to keep an eye on is where your commitments are going forward, because we talk about, you know, a Sagano. We talked yesterday, Walker Buehler, wild thought. Probably he goes to L.A., right? But even a Perez, anybody, who's going to be on this staff in 2026? Because Cease and King probably won't.
No, and I think that was another thing that we were looking for. Hey, well, can they take Michael King and can they give him a multi-year contract? Can they extend him now and lower that AAV and just have him on your roster? And at least the look at it from the Union Tribune and from what they've been hearing is he's not going to want to do that because Michael King goes out there. He has another year similar to what he's had this year. He's looking at a $30 million a year contract going out to free agency. And Dylan Cease is as well. Dylan Cease been a little bit more inconsistent this year, but he is a machine in terms of giving you innings. And he also has the upside where he does have no hit stuff and he is able to have stretches that are really, really good. And so, if you're Scott Boras and Dylan Cease, you're trying to get that to be even better this year and then hit free agency. So you really do have to start thinking about what is your future, not just what is this year.
Yeah, and Bossman Adam in the chat saying, is there more pressure to extend King to justify the Soto
I
trade?
just don't know if they can.
Well,
I'm sure they would
right.
love to.
How do you,
sure they would
how
love
do
to.
you do it? How do you get from here to there? Because the time to do it would be now. It would be now, but then you're adopting 100% of the risk that Michael King went from 100 innings to 180 innings. Usually if there's an injury, the injury comes the year after. And the one thing the Padres get by playing it out with King is they get to find that out. Does he bounce back, and can he physically handle that workload as an every year starter? Thing is, you play it out, the answer is yes, and then he immediately becomes unaffordable for the team in 2026.
Right. He could command upwards of $20 million a year on a long-term contract. So why would Michael King not bet on himself to be able to go do that? Now, unless the offer was something that he felt like was, okay, this is like, one I really have to consider. And can the Padres make that kind of offer to him right now? But that is a good question about his arm. Now, Seth Lugo went out and had a tremendous year. Seth Lugo's also a little older and has, had a different route than Michael King. So
doesn't throw against his body the way that Michael King throws against his body. Those crossfire pitchers have historically had brilliant but bright and somewhat shorter careers of their top level because it's a very stressful way that he throws his pitches.
He does love San Diego, and maybe if there is someone advising him on that, hey, your arm, we don't know, when it might hit its brink here, since that's the way you throw. Maybe there is someone that would say if the offer is fair, if the offer is something that would be in your wheelhouse, you take it. I just don't even know if the Padres have the ability to offer that right now.
Well,
or will. I get they always have the ability.
They do.
Will they? Right.
Because you're just talking about locking in more money for the
Yes.
end of the 2020s.
Yeah.
And I honestly think you're starting, if you talk to Michael King and you tried to talk today to Michael King, I think you're starting at Joe Musgrove's deal. I think you're
5
starting
years,
at
100.
500. And you're like, hey, what do you think about 500? It's $100 million in the bank, and you might make $28 million average annual value. If you go out and you have a 2.7 ERA and you throw another 185 innings next year and you make the All-Star team, well, now you're into Jacob deGrom territory.
And if he doesn't have that year and he's maybe a little less expensive, well, that's a double-edged sword because now he didn't have the year that you would hope he would have in 2025 and that you want him to have for a team that wants to contend for a world championship.
That means the Padres didn't have
Correct.
the year they wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a risky
tricky.
one.
Yeah.
It's a risky one to be sure. And that's why it's Talk Show Radio Grist.
Hey, it's the off season.
Here we are, halfway through the Friday show. We've got the 12 o'clock sports fix, all the news you need, coming up after this.
Hitting the airwaves live in America's finest city. It's Annie and Elsten.
Oh, what time is it? Time to kick it!
A fresh local sports talk show about having a good time in the sunshine of San Diego.
Guess I've been working so hard, I forgot what it's like to be hardly working.
With your hosts, Annie Heilbrunn
Padres are playing confident, they're playing free, and that's been a huge part of their identity.
and Craig
You're
Elsten.
10 games over 500. You're a good team. Just no question about it.
And featuring Braden Soprannant. The good times start now. Here are your hosts, Annie and Elsten, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's 12 o'clock. It's a Friday. What you doing? Quit your working. Come hang out with us. Your midday hang, Annie and Elsten. 2 more hours before we punch our ticket to Veterans Day weekend. We are thankful and grateful to have you here with us, overlooking beautiful Murphy Canyon with Annie Heilbrunn and Frank Marchese in for Braden Soprannant today. Craig Elsten on hand with you. This is the midpoint of the program. This is the one that looks ahead to the weekend. All the activity to come, our local teams, our national stories. Time to bring you the Friday Fix.
Oh, time for lunch, eh?
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now!
See your mom cut the crusts off your bread?
Mom, the meatloaf!
Well, you probably missed a lot in the sports world. Don't worry, we've got you covered from high school to professional and everything in between on the 12 o'clock Sports Fix on Annie and Elsten. Brought to you by Team Kia of El Cajon. You should be driving a Kia from Team Kia of El Cajon.
It's all the sports news that's fit to speak for Friday, November 8th, 2024 in the city of San Diego. It's your 12 o'clock Sports Fix. And as always, we get things started with Annie Heilbrunn's Baseball Report.
Okay, in baseball, as we talked about, the new multi-year contract for Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla has been finalized per Kevin Acee. Huge congratulations to Ruben Niebla. Very well deserved. Been a huge asset to this pitching staff. The Phillies announced today that Vice President and General Manager Sam Fuld is pursuing his MBA at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. He's slated to graduate in May of 2026, at which point he will take the title of President of Business Operations. So they announced that Assistant General Manager and old friend Preston Mattingly has been promoted to take the role of Vice President and General Manager.
Oh, congrats.
Yes, congrats. Used to be with the Padres. The Yankees announced Friday that they've exercised their 2025 club option on manager Aaron Boone. He'll return for an 8th season as a club skipper next year. He saw the Yankees go to a 94-68 record en route to their 3rd AL East title in 7 years. And it was the 5th time in 6 162-game seasons that a Boone-led Yankee squad won at least 92 games. Obviously, lost the World Series, but whatever. Angel shortstop Zach Neto underwent shoulder surgery and could miss the start of the 2025 season. General Manager Perry Minasian informed reporters that that is the case, although he didn't specify the exact nature of the injury or procedure. The Mets have been expected to line up as one of Juan Soto's primary suitors all winter, and after reaching out to agent Scott Boras on day 1 of the offseason, owner Steve Cohen is now set for an in-person visit with Soto and his agent in Southern California next week. Now, keep in mind that any team interested in Soto will be meeting with him and his agent, but where do you think they will meet? His house? A restaurant? Is he going to wine and dine them? Is TMZ going to be out there?
Well, actually, when Yamamoto was thinking about going there, Cohen, it was a home dinner.
There you go. Sometimes they don't want the pub, you know?
Exactly.
Maybe get a chef over there. I don't know. All right. Offseason, the Athletics moved Mason Miller from the rotation to the closing job. General Manager David Force said at the time that the A's were open to building the right-hander back up as a starter after 1 season in relief. However, that doesn't seem to be on the table for now. It appears that Miller will remain in the 9th inning, according to Force, at least for now. The Red Sox look to be one of the top suitors for impact starting pitching. As teams laid the groundwork for the offseason at this week's GM meetings, Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow suggested that the Sox are evaluating ways to land a top-flight starter. He said, quote, "We know we need to raise the ceiling of the rotation." So will they sign Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, or get creative? We'll see. And finally, Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic writes that his sources say the Giants will be reducing payroll this season. The Giants' adjusted payroll, which accounts for salary that is earned in a given year but not necessarily paid out, is expected to step back from the $206 million they spent last season. while exceeding the luxury tax threshold for the first time since 2018. So even a modest amount of belt tightening, maybe 30 to 40 million, leaves them a little bit, what are they going to do in terms of arbitration players and trades?
Well, they can save $30 million. They didn't re-sign Blake Snell. If they just let him go and don't replace him, that's $31 million right there. And that probably gets them to their number.
Yes. And then, like you said, the Cardinals are exploring trades of Nolan Arenado. At least that's what the St. Louis Post-Dispatch is writing. So that's a big deal if that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Arenado was a little bit of a faded version of himself.
Right, but he's signed for another 3 seasons and owed a total of $74 million in that time. I wonder if they're going to be able to move that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a good question. He still carries a lot of defensive value. I think his name and reputation might be a little bit above where the analytics rate him.
Sure,
at this
agree.
point.
Yeah.
So that rips some teams out of the formula. But it'd be interesting to see if Nolan Arenado winds up somewhere else. No Goldie and no Nolan next year for St. Louis.
And they've already announced reduced payroll, obviously, and a rebuild, right? So kind of interesting with that.
Yeah, Goldschmidt, boop.
And remember,
Arenado,
they
boop.
had all the
There's your reduced payroll.
They had the no, you're right, and they had the dad pitching staff. Like they had the all over 35 pitching staff or whatever. So they're going to be going younger and going cheaper and trying to, as they say, rebuild.
The dad bod pitching staff, that's for sure, led by Lance Lynn. Oh,
they had
my goodness.
the father pitching staff.
Well, from there, let's turn things over to Frank Marchese for the NFL portion of the Fix.
Yeah, not much going on in the NFL with it being a game week, so let's just run through the injury report, shall we?
Yes.
We'll start off with the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is apparently dealing with soreness and a bruised left arm following last night's game, but it's nothing that should impact him moving forward.
A bruised ego, a bruised left arm,
Bruised
bruised
arm.
arm. Okay.
The arm hurts, so does the ego.
The Indianapolis Colts' Michael Pittman, wide receiver, will not play against the Buffalo Bills, citing a back and finger injury. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, quarterback Trevor Lawrence is trending towards not playing on Sunday versus the Vikings. Head coach Doug Peterson told reporters on Friday. Peterson added that the decision of if Lawrence will need season-ending surgery will be left to the medical professionals. Continuing to look through, Darius Slayton for the New York Giants has been ruled out of Sunday's game against the Panthers in Munich. The New York Jets have signed a kicker, Anders Carlson. He'll be going to the practice squad. They also cut Riley Patterson ahead of this week's game. Baker Mayfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is returned to practice today and should be ready against the 49ers. Mike Evans, however, will not be with a hamstring injury. Quarterback Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans will start against the Chargers, as was announced earlier today.
I guess that's good news for the Chargers.
Yeah, and I believe, Marshawn Lattimore, quarterback for the Washington Commanders, he has been ruled out of Sunday's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be it.
All right.
Well, watch me whip through a whole bunch of different sports in a right hurry on your Friday 12 o'clock Sports Fix. We're going to start with your local team's report. San Diego FC Sporting Director Tyler Heaps has filled out his staff, the key inner circle to his front office. The club yesterday announced the hiring of Mark Prizant as assistant sporting director. He comes from Inter Miami, the club that had Messi in his led MLS this year. Denmark's Kenneth Heinermuller is the new technical director. It's going to be the one in charge of all the movements. Luke Jenkinson comes from DC United as the head of human performance. That's your head athletic trainer. And Joe Gesso comes from the LA Galaxy as operations director, the person in charge of all the things that don't involve kicking the football. That will be Joe Gesso. So good luck to Tyler Heaps, who we are lining up to maybe get on next week's show. Sporting director of San Diego FC, filling out his upper staff. Tonight at Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, it's the first ever game for the newly named San Diego Clippers as the G League begins. The schedule for the minor league to the NBA starts with what's called the league's tip-off tournament. Don't ask, don't know. The Clippers host the Rip City Remix at 7 p.m.
Remix.
Whoa, remix. 7 o'clock. First 3,000 fans inside Front Wave Arena receive a Bill Walton tribute T-shirt. I just checked like an hour ago. Looks like it's pretty close to sold out at Front Wave Arena.
That'll be fun. You get a chance to see the new arena. You get a chance to see the G League take off. What's your take on all this? I mean, are you going to?
Oh, I'm not going tonight.
Okay, but you'll catch a game.
Yeah, I'll definitely catch a game.
I think it's going to be a fun time to check it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Ben talk about it earlier this morning, and it's very true. For North County folks, Front Wave Arena is this incredible thing because you don't have to fight the traffic to go south on a Friday night for a big sporting event. However, the reverse is true for us East County denizens who would have to take the absolute worst of it on either the 15 and the 78 or the 8 and the 5 to get up to Oceanside on a Friday night.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Not tonight as well, but I'm looking forward to seeing it and checking it out or checking out a G League game. And, they also put in, similar to Petco, they had Scott Marshall, who did it for Petco, did it there also, where they have all the local eatery places in there, which is so cool.
Some upper end stuff, too. I mean, in terms of it's not just get a hot dog and a nacho.
So it's a fun time.
Yeah, Front Wave Arena, great place. They've got a fan fest going on outside from 4 to 6 today. So if you're heading up there, let us know about it Tuesday. Let us know about it Tuesday when we come back on the air. We'd love to be there tonight. It's just Friday night. A little tough for Daddy. Well, a Saturday, I'll be there.
Pause.
What? It's just a little tough to get up there on a Friday night.
Phrasing was the problem there.
Personal foul? Braden's not here. The 3-7 San Diego Gulls are back on the road in Tucson, Arizona, where they could enjoy a Seguro dog if they so chose. And they will play hockey, taking on the Roadrunners Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. It used to be a cute thing that the Arizona Coyotes AHL affiliate was the Roadrunners, because then you had the Coyote and the Roadrunner. Well, now the Coyotes are Utah Hockey Club. Unfortunately, Roadrunners are still the Roadrunners. They didn't change to Arizona Hockey Club, which could have been really,
I like Roadrunners.
I like Roadrunners too. I'm just kidding. This was really this was built into the fix so that Braden would then play the horn.
It doesn't work when Braden's
See,
not.
Braden
No
hates
offense to
the
you,
name
Frank.
Hockey Club, so that's now become a bit on the show. He hates
Save
it.
that for Tuesday.
Apparently, the name Yeti it's like the consensus pick,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they don't have all the promotional stuff ready yet, which is why they haven't announced any.
Yeah, that's
they
why
haven't
they're club.
announced it yet.
Do you
Yeah,
think that they're going to go to Yeti?
I believe so.
All right.
I believe
So then
Step in
the
the right
AHL
direction.
affiliate could just become like the Snowmen or something, or
God, they're listening
Sure.
to us.
yeah, or the Misfit Toys. They
The
could be
abominable snowman.
the abominable. I forgot about the sexy abdominable.
Yes.
With the great abdomen.
My abominable snowman.
Abominable. The San Diego Mojo have new ownership heading into their second season.
Wow.
The club announced yesterday Gary Jacobs is the new majority owner. Put that out in a press release. I read said press release.
Was Carrie Walsh Jennings the...
She
I
is
don't know if
probably
she's the
still
owner.
in
She's probably still
ownership.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she was the majority owner.
Okay.
She was out there in
I'm
front.
sure you're right.
She
Yes.
was out there in front for sure. Jacobs is the current owner of the Lake Elsinore Storm. So this is the Storm owner
Wow.
taking ownership of the Mojo. Also, Jacobs is reunited with the person who was already Mojo president, Billy Johnson. The two of them worked together as owner and operator of the Las Vegas Wranglers Hockey Club in the ECHL. I can tell you personal experience going to Vegas in the mid-2010s. It was extremely popular, Las Vegas Wranglers. They would get 6,000-7,000 at the arena over there off the strip, whose name is escaping me for just the Orleans, at the Orleans Arena. A lot of people said that was kind of like the groundwork that was laid for the popularity of the Golden Knights, was how good the Wranglers were. So trying to bring some of that savvy to the Mojo. Their season starts in mid-January. Over to the NBA beat now. Best wishes to Spurs coach Greg Popovich, who has now missed 4 straight games for San Antonio after suffering what the club has only called a medical episode prior to a Spurs game last week. Latest reporting, super vague, but has added the word if in, and I didn't like that, as in if and when Popovich returns. Let's hope it's more of the when than the if. Meanwhile, Spurs did beat the Trailblazers 118-105 last night. Milwaukee, and Minnesota also pulled out wins. Tonight, robust 13-game schedule. League Pass fun tonight, highlighted by the 7-1 Golden State Warriors going to C-Town to take on the 9-0 Cleveland Cavaliers. Will the Cavs ever lose? Phoenix at Dallas, also a good one on the West Coast tonight. The Lakers host the Sixers. The Clippers are at Sacramento. And in the G League, South Bay Lakers will welcome Bronny James tonight for the first time for a sold-out show. NHL, Vancouver beat the Kings last night 4-2. Tonight, the Ducks host Minnesota. MLS, high drama tonight and this weekend. 4 winner-take-all playoff matches. Tonight in the West at BMO Stadium, LAFC hosts Vancouver. That is a third and deciding game in their opening round MLS Cup Series. LAFC won at home 2-1, lost on the road 3-0. Tonight's winner takes it all. Tomorrow, 3 Eastern Conference games, 3 headlined by Messi and Inter Miami hosting Atlanta FC. Orlando hosts Charlotte. Cincinnati hosts New York City FC. Don't forget, next year, we're going to care, because San Diego FC hopefully will be a part of the MLS Cup playoffs. Back to Frank to wrap things up with some college sports.
All righty. So college football, we got a host of good games this week. Number 2, Ohio State takes on Purdue tomorrow. All these games are tomorrow, by the way. Miami taking on Georgia Tech. Texas hosting Florida. Georgia, number 3, Georgia will take on number 16, Ole Miss in Mississippi, in Oxford, so that'll be fun to watch. Indiana taking on Michigan. Michigan 5-4 this year. I didn't realize they were having such a bad year. Number 17, Iowa State taking on Kansas. Number 23, Clemson against Virginia Tech. Number 25, Army will go up against North Texas. Number 20, Colorado against Texas Tech. Number 1, Oregon will take on Maryland. Number 7, Tennessee at home against Mississippi State. Notre Dame, number 10, Notre Dame hosting Florida. That game will be on NBC, of course. Number 11, Alabama will be at number 15, LSU. Number 24, Missouri will take on Oklahoma in a rekindling of their Big 12 rivalry. Number 6, Penn State will host Washington. Number 12, Boise State will host Nevada. Pitt will host Virginia. BYU at Utah. BYU still undefeated, ranked number 9. And number 21, Washington State will host Utah State. I mentioned during the break there was a wild story in college basketball surrounding the University of Florida, the Gators.
Yes.
Florida head coach Todd Golden is being accused of sexual harassment and stalking per the Alligator, not the mascot. This is a news site here. Accusations related to sexual harassment include unwanted advances on Instagram, requesting favors, sending photos and videos of himself while traveling for Florida, and various occasions of stalking.
Wait, was he stalking like a student or something? Or like
multiple people. And yes, one of them at least was a student who said that Golden stalked her in person and that it had occurred 10 plus times. Bro, you're a psycho. On one occasion, she posted her location on an Instagram story, and Golden showed up in the area saying, quote, waiting for her.
Come on.
Not good.
Straight to jail.
It looks like
straight to jail.
So the University of Florida received a formal Title. Is it Title X? I don't know. A formal complaint. So they've already filed this and everything. Like this is
good.
This has already been filed with the university, and I'm sure maybe with like a law enforcement agency and everything. They've gone to that. So
straight to jail.
Not good.
You had mentioned the CIF playoffs. I have those here. So yes.
What you got?
Just like my entire high school and college career, work done in 15 minutes. Tonight's games for Division 1 will be Oceanside versus Del Norte, Mount Miguel will take on Santa Fe Christian. Scripps Ranch versus Torrey Pines. And Brawley versus Rancho Bernardo. Division 2 will see Christian versus Imperial. Point Loma versus Valley Center. Madison versus La Jolla. And Mount Carmel taking on Bishops. Division 3 will see Patrick Henry versus Otay Ranch. Eastlake versus Army Navy, which feels a little unfair. I just said Army was ranked number 25 in the nation. Steel Canyon
Different
versus...
team, though. You're lucky.
Oops. Steel Canyon versus Escondido. La Jolla County Day versus St. Augustine. Division 4 will see Montgomery versus Calexico, Westview versus Vincent Memorial, Sweetwater versus Mira Mesa, and Classical Academy versus Chula Vista.
I believe Classical Academy is taking on Jazz.
Oh,
tonight.
I'm seeing Chula Vista.
It's
on
a
here.
joke.
Oh.
Poor Frank steps in. No, you do this with Adam too, I've noticed.
I'm not mad with the
They
joke.
step in, they try to just help us out, and you throw them out there, man. Like, you gotta stop doing this.
Taking on Jazz.
I'm not mad with the joke. I'm mad that I fell for it. Coronado will take on Francis Parker, Division 5. Fallbrook will take on Monte Vista. Mar Vista has West Hills. And Kearney takes on Santana.
I'm in
As
your
mentioned
corner, Frank.
before, the open division is off this week, but that will be Lincoln versus Mission Hills. And then our Cathedral Catholic taking on La Costa Canyon. That'll be next week.
That's going to be fun.
Great job, Frank.
Wonderful
Thank you.
job.
Also, and you probably already know this, the South Bay Lakers
Yes.
will be at Front Wave on November 20th. So LeBron James, Bronny Jr., maybe. I thought I saw that maybe he's not like traveling.
Yeah,
Even down to
yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, LeBron has caked this out for his son Bronny.
I don't get it though. Like, why?
Home games for South Bay Lakers only. When the South Bay Lakers go on the road, Bronny goes back to the
Well,
Lakers.
Bronny, just come down to San Diego for those who want to.
Can you come
see
once?
You. I mean, it's just down the road.
Come one
Like,
time. Come one time. I'll go to that game.
I know. I just don't. LeBron, I'm in your corner, LeBron. I've liked this whole thing with Bronny, but at this point with the G League, I feel like he should just be like everyone else.
That's the actual problem I have. We got to take a break.
Okay.
12:22. Let's come back and talk a little Bronny fallout and then an NFL Week 10 preview for you. We got Fast Money still to come in the hour as well. It's Annie and Elsten going till 2. Great to have you with us on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Welcome back to Annie and Elsten. We've got robot cameras, and sometimes we walk out of the studio and they miss us. They get lonely.
Mm-hmm.
They
follow us around.
Follow us to the door.
Pretty soon there will just be robots in here. Hopefully not too soon. But
Hopefully not too soon. I heard
we'll just be robots.
I heard the attempted AI sports segment that Ben and Woods put out there, and it was still thankfully bad. But how many generations before? I've thought about that stuff a lot, but I don't want to go down that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Not in particular for our jobs, which I feel are some of the more creative jobs that are out there. And
hopefully
would be slightly safer, but like, at what point did they say, who needs those textbooks? We'll just let the AI teach our kids everything. And then who programmed that AI?
AI is
telling
wrong.
the truth?
Check your work, friends. AI can be ChatGPT. It's not always right.
It's quite often wrong.
Yeah, I remember when I asked it to tell me about the Padres one time, and it told me a lot of different things, but they did not make sense about the Padres at this moment in time. It was a lot of misinformation in that thing.
Very fair. Very fair. Okay. We're going to talk some NFL in this segment. First, just real quickly, Jeff Sanders from the UT putting out that Leo DeVries and Ethan Salas both named to the AFL All-Stars or the Fall Stars.
The Fall Stars.
They're in the Fall Stars.
I don't see that. I need to.
Frank sent it to us via text.
Oh, thanks, Frank.
But presumably it's out there. Nonetheless, I think this was because I saw the Padres pushing it. I think there was a fan voting for this because they were like, you have until X amount of time. Vote Leo into the Fall Stars game.
Yes. So, Jeff Sanders. It's loading. Yes. Leo Dallas DeVries won the National League's fan vote to be included on the roster alongside catcher Ethan Salas and first baseman Romeo Sanabria. First pitch is 5 p.m. Saturday at Sloan Park. It's the Fall Stars game.
The Fall Stars game.
I like that. That's a little fun thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so Salas and Sanabria had already made it. Then there was a vote, and DeVries got voted in.
Yes. So now you're going to see those up-and-coming big-time prospects and young prospects, by the way, playing among some older guys. Sanabria is 22, but as we know, I think Leo Dallas is 17. I don't think I have that right. 18-year-old Ethan Salas, and DeVries is also 18 now.
Yeah, just turned 18.
Yeah.
Played as a 17-year-old this year.
Yes.
Just turned 18. Cool stuff. All right.
That'll
Way to go,
be fun.
Leo.
Right.
Way to go, Leo. Get out there, hit one out, see what happens. Good stuff. All right. For the remainder of this segment, as we work our way towards Silly Games and today's episode of Fast Money, let's take a look at the schedule for the National Football League Week 10.
Let's do that.
NFL Week 10 preview. It begins with our anti-football, anti-Germany initiative put together by the NFL, sleeper campaign to end all German interest in the National Football League.
Is this Frank's football segment?
Frank, this is your football segment.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you, my friend.
I'll just be here.
Okay, pop
Great.
that music for like.
Oh yeah. Give us some
NFL
happy
music,
football
yeah.
music.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
I got it.
Gotta have the football music.
I think that this is Panthers and Giants.
Yes, 2-7 versus 2-7.
Okay, Bryce Young.
The 2-7.
I don't think they're all too happy with Bryce Young, the Panthers QB.
No.
So I think he should be looking at these games like they're an audition for his future team.
in the German
because he
football
was
league.
already maybe in the German football league, but maybe in the NFL. He was already like in the trade rumors before the deadline. So the other two teams, I think you're playing for a draft pick at this point. But hey, whatever. Two bad teams there.
The Giants are a 6.5-point favorite, and Ennui is a 21-point favorite for this one, which will air at 6:30.
Oh, 6:30 a.m.
6:30
All right,
a.m.
in Germany, Munich, Germany.
Yes. Guarantee that I will just throw this on my laptop, because usually I either throw the early game on the laptop or I'll throw some random EPL soccer match up. So, Maybe I'll just stick with the soccer.
Now, I am a Giants fan.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me.
I don't wake up for Chelsea at 8:30 in the morning to watch them play. I'm not waking up at 6:30 to watch the Giants.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Is this actually a sleeper initiative to end all German interest in the National Football League?
Could be.
Putting these two terrible teams
Could be.
on a national stage.
Shouldn't have picked two better teams, NFL. Great job.
Great job.
Wonderful work on your part.
Probably still get like amazing ratings, but whatever.
Who knows?
Continue.
They'll sing
Yeah.
John Denver in the third quarter. They're like, look at these silly Americans with their dumb game. I think that's pretty much the level of it in Germany. 10 a.m. games on CBS. Buffalo versus Indianapolis. These are our Colts. These are our team. This is our team.
That guy won Fan of the Year, I think.
Yeah, he did.
I heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
won
He got
Fan
Super
of the
Bowl
Year.
tickets. It's amazing.
The Bills are 7-2. The Colts are 4-5. Now we know the Colts aren't that good. They're also not totally terrible. But will the Bills look past this team? Will they fall into this as a trap?
That's what I thought about the game in Seattle last week, and
Yeah.
then they housed them.
Okay.
Buffalo easy.
I think Bills win this one too.
Yeah, Buffalo easy. Broncos 5-4 at the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. This game is on local CBS Channel 8. 7.5-point favorite for the Chiefs.
Division game. I think these always mean a little bit more, even though it is the Broncos against the Chiefs. It's a chance for the Broncos to slay their dragon. However, I still think Chiefs win.
There's a reason why Vegas set this line at 7.5, Frank. It's because all week if you pay attention to the NFL talkers, they have talked about how Kansas City can't beat anybody by more than a score, and how all their games come down to the wire, and how every game is a one-score game for Kansas City. So Vegas goes, aha, 7.5. That's going to get all the so-called smart fans to bet on the lousy Broncos over the very, very good Chiefs.
Technically, it's still a one-score game at that point.
That's true. It's true. Take the Chiefs, take the points. I'm going to rout Denver. Denver's not good. Pittsburgh versus Commanders of Washington. That's a good game. 6-2 against
Game of the week,
7-2.
in my opinion. Game of the week.
Yeah, I agree. This is another good matchup. Russell Wilson looking better every week, looking more comfortable. Daniels for Washington, he's on his way to an excellent year. So I think you're going to get a lot of QB comparisons with this one, but I think it's a good matchup in general. I'm going Steelers, though.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. This is a tough test for Jaden Daniels. If he passes this test and beats the Steelers' defense, even though it is a home game, that's a great sign for them.
And Steelers have the shiny new toy in Mike Williams.
Oh, that's
Maybe
true.
Get a little work there.
He'll get 2 catches for 18 yards.
Okay, well.
As you do.
Yeah, as you usually do in that
Maybe
first
more.
game. You'll get
Yeah.
targeted like twice on a third down play, you know? Yeah. 10 a.m. Fox games. Patriots at our not-so-beloved Bears. Chicago a 6-point favorite. Wow, that's just a bad game. Vikings against Jaguars. Bad game. Atlanta versus New Orleans. Bad game, but Saints using an interim coach. Do they get the dead cat bounce of an interim coach?
I think Kirk is better. Is Carr back?
Well, if he
All right,
is.
well, I
I
think
didn't see
I
anything
think.
on the report.
All right, I think Falcons are the better team, anyways. I think they have more weapons.
Much better.
So.
They're the much better team. 49ers trying to get to a winning record. They will be at Tampa Bay. As Frank said, Baker Mayfield back.
Isn't Christian McCaffrey supposed to be coming? Is that
Didn't
no?
see anything
Okay,
in the
well,
report.
No, he's like
He's
2
still
weeks
out?
away. I think
Okay.
he's 2 weeks away.
okay. Then I'm going Bucks on this one.
Yes. Ooh, really?
Yeah, I am. I don't know. I think the Bucks. I'm not sure about the 49ers still yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, if you're living in the Tampa Bay area and you're listening to our show, don't expect to watch this game because Tampa Bay is enforcing a blackout. So this will not be on in Tampa.
Hang on, guys. According to the
Won't be on in
Google.
Tampa.
Wow. Well, hey, too bad for them. They can go maybe over to the Tropicana Dome and
Blackouts
clean
are
some
so
stuff
dumb.
up.
As far as I remember, I don't know if this rule changed, but I think the rule was you have to sell out 85% of the tickets or a blackout can be enforced.
Yeah, that
I
used to
don't know
happen all
if
the
that
time in
rule-
San Diego. Yeah.
I don't know if that rule has changed, but they must not have sold enough tickets for the game.
By the way, Google says Run CMC is expected back for the 49ers.
Now, you would think, so here, you would think, okay, this is going to be a 49ers win. However, they always seem to force it, the issue, when a guy comes back. I think that it doesn't happen organically. I'm still going with Bucks on this one.
Okay.
Hear more from Scraby coming up in the
Yeah,
next
for
couple of
sure.
hours.
For sure.
Let's gravy take them.
3 games in the afternoon window. The Jets are at the Cardinals. New York is a 1.5 favorite in
I
that
don't
one.
know how.
I know.
I'll be rooting for Arizona
Me
in that
too.
game. There's very few teams I actually care about in the NFL, but I've decided to dislike the Jets. Philadelphia is at Dallas, where now Dak Prescott could have a tear in his hamstring. So they've got some guy that sounded like an AI-generated name. What is it? Cooper Rush, I think. Just peeled him out of a Taylor Sheridan series. Cooper Rush in 1934 on the Yosemite Farms. So that game is happening as well. I assume the Eagles will crush in that one. 1:20 Fox game. Whatever. L.A. Renters hosting Tennessee.
Continue to play just terrible teams. So
Yeah,
look,
over and over.
They're probably going to win, but it's a little deceptive, their record.
I'm sure they'll win. I will state, as long as the Renters aren't in the AFC Championship game, I don't have to care about them.
The Lions and the Texans are Sunday night.
Our beloved Lions.
Roar.
Roar, Lions, roar.
Yeah. I'm going with the Lions.
I'm going with the Lions
'Cause-
all the way.
Yeah.
Every day, all the way.
I have a quick. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
I
I
have
was
a-
just going to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I just have a quick question because
Mm-hmm.
we have to stay the clock integrity.
Go ahead.
But why are you Jets over why are you
Giants.
Giants over Jets and why are you Mets over Yankees?
My grandfather was a Giants fan, and he was actually a high school football coach, won 5 Long Island championships.
Oh, cool.
As a
Okay, that
defensive
makes
and
sense.
offensive line coach. The first game I ever went to was a Met game, Mets Phillies. I sat in the upper deck as far over in the left field corner as you could sit.
Amazing. Asked and answered.
At
Thank you very
Shea.
much. Yes.
There's your preview for Week 10 of the National Football League. Frank's football segment was around a roaring, Roar Lions roar, a roaring success. All right, when we come back, our final silly game of the week. It's a Too Fast Money week. Everyone loves fast money. The very popular bonus round from the Family Feud game show. Our resident Ray Combs, right there. Mm-hmm. Frank Marchese. Our resident Richard Dawson. We could list all. Steve Harvey, would you prefer? Who was your favorite Family Feud host?
That one.
Fair.
Yeah. Same.
Great answer. Great answer. We're going to come back, but we need a contestant.
Please call.
We only need one contestant now. We don't have
Begging you.
Yeah, we don't have an avatar for this one because we've got a brand new Las Vegas grand prize giveaway. It starts today. It rolls through the rest of the month of November. A 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, $150 food and beverage credit. The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino featuring newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. The award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends. This is a must-see show during your Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets at westgateresorts.com. Give us a call, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Frank's going to pick a contestant, and we're going to come back and play Fast Money next on The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fans brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Hey, San Diego sports fans, head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings and try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat. That one always trips me up. A mild smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of a kick, check out the new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go. Okay, read over. Silly Games time is here. Let's play Fast Money.
No fielding here. 5 questions, 1 minute, endless possibilities. Good luck, because you'll need it on Fast Money with Annie and Elsten.
Here we go. It's the very popular bonus round from the Family Feud game show. It's Fast Money, and it is your chance to be the first into our show's hopper to be qualified for a grand prize 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Soul of Motown, and a $150 food and beverage credit. We looked for a contestant during the break. That contestant is here. First caller in gets the worm. It's Alex in Cardiff. Welcome back to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon. All right, Alex, I know you've been here before. This is Fast Money. Very straightforward. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to start with a decision. You're either going to pick myself or Annie as your opponent. That host will leave the studio. Then, our resident Richard Dawson, Frank Marchese, stepping into Braden Soprenant's shoes. He, who recently surveyed a past audience of Annie and Elsten, 100 of them strong, back in the bleachers over there. He picked up their most popular answer to 5 key questions. He's going to ask you those questions. You're going to look for that most popular answer in the course of 60 seconds. When you're done, the host returns, unable to use the answers that you put down. So if you get the number 1 answers, you're just going to win. It's going to be that straightforward. At the end, we're going to figure it out. We're going to tally the score. And if you win, you're in the hopper for Las Vegas. Alex, who do you want to play today?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Or I'll go Annie. How about
Okay.
Annie?
Okay.
Alex. Okay.
You were Mo, as
You
it
are-
turns out,
yes.
Annie. Annie in the Mo spot right there. She is heading out of the studio. I had anticipated your choice. I've got the scoreboard right here. And we're ready to roll. All right. Good luck, Alex. Here's Frank.
All right, Alex, are you ready to go? You understand all the rules?
I do.
All right, so 60 seconds will begin from the time I finish reading the first question. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First question, name a measuring device.
A ruler.
All right.
Name a media personality that rubs people the wrong way.
Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Name a part of the body people change with plastic surgery.
Nose.
Name a part of the body people like to tattoo.
Arm.
Good answer.
Name a part of the body that grows faster than others. Jesus.
Hello. Don't go there.
Please don't.
Stomach.
All right.
Sure. Why not? Why
so
not?
that will be that is round one. So just we'll put you on hold here to
Yeah.
see how this goes.
We're bringing back in.
Yes, Annie is going to
Here
come
comes
back.
Annie. All right, Annie. Annie Halburn's in. Alex in Cardiff is your opponent. Alex,
Cardiff is a great place.
Cardiff is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is.
Alex's answers have been locked in. I've written them down right
Okay.
here. And it is your turn, my friend.
All righty, Annie. Here we go. Time starts after I read the first question. Name a measuring device.
A ruler.
Try again.
Measuring tape.
Sure.
Name a media personality that rubs people the wrong way.
Well, I'll keep that. A media personality that rubs it. I'll keep that local. Ken Rosenthal.
I love it.
Name a part of the body that people change with plastic surgery.
They're a facelift.
Face.
Name a part of the body that people like to tattoo.
Not fake skin.
If you're a Josh hater, you do. But he also likes to tattoo his body. So, arms.
Try again.
Oh, chest.
Sure.
Name a part of the body that grows faster than others. Don't do it. I can see the look in your eyes. Don't do it.
What, me? A part of the body that grows fast. Oh, your butt. Your butt.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that is
you got a
it.
BBL. Yeah.
All righty. So that does it for that.
Okay.
Let's
It's time
hold on,
to-
just
to-
give me one
Yeah, no
second
problem.
here. All right.
It's time to tally up the scores and figure out who wins, Alex or Annie, today. You can read the question. I'll read their answers.
What these were some very
Yeah,
interesting
Yes,
questions
yes, they
today.
were.
I agree. I agree.
Name a measuring device.
After dark.
Alex said ruler.
33.
33 points for Alex. Annie said measuring tape.
19.
19. All right.
What
14-point
about
lead for
digital
Alex.
caliper? Is that on there? No.
Whoa.
Okay.
No.
All right. Never mind.
No, it's not.
Plus 14. These two answers are going to get 0. Let's get to it.
Ruler was number 1, by the way.
Okay.
Name a media personality that rubs people the wrong way.
Alex said Bill Belichick.
0.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
We don't know when these people were surveyed. That's
That
the
is
problem.
correct. I'm afraid number one answer is going to be like Howard Cosell
Right.
or something. Annie said Ken Rosenthal, which should get her 100 points.
0.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I know.
Number
Okay,
one
sorry,
answer
Ken.
was you were right on the Howard. It was the last name. Was
Howard
the problem.
Stern.
Howard Stern. Was
Okay,
the
so this
number
was
one
from like
answer.
1991
Gotta be
or
more
something.
right.
Stern, Springer, Limbaugh, Larry
Oh,
King.
Springer.
King.
Yeah.
Limbaugh's dead.
Limbaugh.
Larry King is dead. Is Jerry Springer alive?
No, actually, I don't think so.
I think he's dead,
he
too.
passed away. Yeah, I think he's gone too.
All right. Well, that's so 14-point lead for Alex. Going to question number
Okay,
3.
Alex.
Name a part of the body that people change with plastic surgery.
Alex said nose.
This might be where he takes it. 59.
Wow.
Wow. Annie said facelift.
5.
5.
Was that number 1? Nose?
Nose was
okay,
number
'cause I was
one.
going to go something else. but-
Everything
all right.
else was in the single digits.
That's fine.
So,
Then see, yes.
92-24, Alex, in firm command. Going to question number 4.
name a part of the body people like to tattoo.
Alex said arm. Number one answer, I'm sure.
48.
There it is. Annie said chest. Great answer.
Not good enough, though. 0.
What?
Wow.
I bet back was on there.
Wow.
Bicep, shoulder, back, thigh, ankle.
So at 140-24, unless there's more than 100 in this particular
There might be more than
questions audience, or someone gave negative
A
answers.
BBL is like,
Alex
you
is
know?
feeling good to get in. Let's go to question 5.
Name a part of the body that grows faster than others.
Alex said stomach.
8.
Okay. All right. 148
I
final
said
score.
behind.
None.
What?
None.
What is the number 1 answer?
Number 1 answer was hair.
Well, that makes sense.
Is that a part of the body?
I mean, sure.
I would hope so.
I feel
part of
like
my
that's
body,
like
So it's hair was number 1, nails, nose, feet, stomach, legs.
okay,
were
nails.
the
I feel like those are more like protein, like fine, whatever.
Those
I'm not-
actually do grow faster than other
Yeah.
things. Your nails, your hair.
Yep. Thank you both
Yeah.
for not forcing us to use the censor on
Whatever,
this one.
yeah. that's
Appreciate you.
fine.
Well, Alex, domination, buddy. 148-24. You are the Fast Money champion for Friday, and you're in the Vegas drawing. Congratulations, Alex.
Great job, Alex.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. That was fun.
All right, stay right there. Frank will get you all lined up. I'm going to put you on hold. Appreciate you very much. We're a little overdue for our timeout. Let's take that break. We're going to come back with the fourth and final hour of Andy and Elsten, hour number 20 of the week, including a reset of some of the Padres topics from earlier today. Media Melody coming up. We got a couple of great TV streaming recommendations for you, and we're going to end the hour by opening up the phones to everybody on Ask Us Anything. So stay right there. Finish up that lunch, do the dishes, and come back with us for the 1 o'clock hour of Annie and Elsten on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good jam to get us headed weekend way. De La Soul roller skating jam called Saturdays. Get out those roller skates tomorrow in America's finest city. Get rolling on the boardwalk, if you so choose. If not, hey, do whatever you want. Hour number 4 of the show.
Should be a nice weekend.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
Are
Nice.
the Santa Anas backing off a little bit?
I don't know, but they made it kind of like yesterday. It was like 75 in East County. It was just nice.
It was.
I've never hated a city I've never been to more than I hate Santa Ana because of those winds.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's all. And the funny
Kinda
thing
mess
is,
with your allergies and
yeah.
stuff.
The funny thing is, Santa Ana isn't like completely inland or something. It's right there, up to 5. But nonetheless, it's blamed for every inland wind. Why aren't they called like the Brawley winds or the Ontario winds or something? So we could.
The Los Angeles winds.
Yeah, well, just blame something from the Inland Empire, something inland for messing with our throat and messing with everything else. Annie Halbern, Craig Elsten, Frank Marchese's in for Braden Soprennant today. Braden will be back on Tuesday. And Frank, the boys on the morning show brought you in a segment early just to talk about what you're doing in terms of a weight loss journey right now personally.
Yeah, it's been one hell of a journey. Started a month ago tomorrow, and moving quite well, as I found out with my doctor yesterday.
I don't know exactly what you've done.
So what I did was I decided one morning I wanted to take control over my life again.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see Dr. Sunil Boyrul at Old Del Mar Surgical up in La Jolla, right by UCSD, and got a stomach sleeve surgery done. So basically what they did was they poked 5 holes in me and removed 80% of my stomach.
Wow.
Lordy.
So yeah, that was recovery from that has been fun, especially the first day or so coming out of anesthesia. But after that, it's been smooth sailing. I've lost from the start of this whole process on what is it? It's November, so October 9th. I've lost 50 pounds as of this morning.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been
How are you
amazing.
feeling?
Great,
Good.
actually. Still a little sore in some spots, but comes with having surgery a couple weeks ago. But other than that, I'm feeling really, really good.
Okay, so explain this to myself, and in doing so, some other listeners, I'm sure. 80% of your stomach being taken out. Is that the same as when I was younger, you always heard about someone's stomach being stapled? Is that the same idea, or is this different?
As far as I know, it's different. So basically, I thought what they did was they take out 80% of your stomach and they put a sleeve around it.
Mm-hmm.
But my doctor said that the way it looks after that, it looks like a sleeve.
Got
my
it.
stomach. So so what they did was they took out 80% of my stomach. They took out the enzyme that makes you hungry.
Oh wow.
So that'll grow back in about a year. So it'll work its way back. But
Okay.
it's completely on me whether or not this works or not. This is something that if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, and if I fall back into old habits again, I can undo everything and be back to the way I was the last time you guys saw me. So it's completely reliant on me whether or not this works.
So in other words, the part I'm like bumping against, just because I'm completely ignorant to this,
no, you're
is the 80% removal. So is that something your stomach's going to regrow to its original size?
It can. So I can stretch it back out to where it was.
Got it.
But as of right now, like I said on the morning show yesterday, I was allowed to start the pureed food stage, which is like scrambled eggs, soft-boiled eggs, baby food, canned chicken and tuna.
Wow. What was it for the last month? Just liquids?
Yep. Liquid, Jello, as I said, Gatorade Zero, sponsor me, please. You've kept me alive for the last month. Sugar-free popsicles, sugar-free Jello, that kind of stuff. For
Fascinating.
a month.
Wow.
It's a long month.
Do you feel hungry?
No.
Okay.
Because they took
Honestly,
the
I-
enzyme out.
Yeah.
though.
Well, even still, like last night when I had the egg, I could have eaten more, but I also didn't feel like I wanted to. Like I was also like, okay, yeah, that's about enough. So I'm good.
Well, rooting for you. I mean, always in
thank
your
you.
corner over here, and definitely know what that's like when you want to just kind of change things for yourself.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's step one.
Takes
but
courage to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been one hell of a journey so far.
Okay, so what's the path now? You said you've got pureed foods now, so you're reintroducing
Yeah. So
regular proteins and carbohydrates and whatnot into your life.
Yeah, right now it's all the easiest to digest food, like cooked vegetables, beans, anything really soft. Then after December 7th, I can start reintroducing like meats again, very lean meats, sausages, raw or cooked vegetables, basically getting most of the way back to normal. Now, the problem for me being Italian is I can't have bread, rice, or pasta until Christmas.
Got it.
But other than that, I should be, after that, I'm assuming, I should have asked when I was with the dietitian yesterday. I completely forgot. I whiffed on it. That's my bad. But I should be completely back to normal, back to whatever I want to eat, probably around the middle to end of January into February. Then restrictions are off. I can do what I want.
Nutritionally, how do you handle that over a month where you're not getting, the proteins in the regular way that other people are?
Protein shakes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
I need to have at least their goal is between 80 and 100 grams of protein a day.
Gotcha.
Now, I never got that before this, so it's basically one protein drink in the morning, one at night. So that's the I think it's like the pure protein vanilla. That's what I've been doing for that.
And do you need like vitamin supplements or something?
Yes. I'd been taking a multivitamin before, but I've added B12 and vitamin D was recommended. So I'm going to need to be on those for quite a long time.
Yeah.
To supplement what's been lost.
That's awesome, man. So how about from an exercise standpoint or physical activity? Are there any restrictions because of the surgery?
Still a little ways away from that, maybe like a couple weeks to being able to go full on exercise again. But they say walking is massive for this because what they do is when you have the surgery, they fill your stomach up with air to make sure everything's closed, nothing's leaking, everything's fine.
Right.
And they want you to walk to get that moving so it comes out. Whichever way it does.
Okay.
And so walking is a great way to help out with that. And I've recently gotten back into an app called the Conqueror Challenges.
Oh.
Which is basically you sign up for virtual marathons.
Oh, neat.
Cool, yeah.
And like there's one that's like 71-mile walk of New York, a 50-mile walk of LA. There's like Star Wars locations that they give you, and you earn digital postcards through those, and if you pay a little bit extra, you actually get a physical medal that goes along with it. Like
That's
I have
cool.
I have one for a 40-mile walk of Athens, a 35-mile walk of the Amalfi Coast that has like actual Amalfi paper in the
Places
medal.
I would like to go. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a really fun way to make it a game and to keep you
Motivated, interested.
motivated and interested in it. So
That's really great, man.
thank you.
Can I just say too, like the human body is like amazing. Like
Yeah,
just,
no kidding, right?
Oh no, just the way. Yeah, I mean, it can like figure things out and adjust and adapt and be like, Frank, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the hardest part is going to be the fight with my own head.
Yeah, it
Because-
always is
Sure.
the mental part, right?
Yep.
In anything, right?
And I've lost that battle a hell of a lot more times than I care to
Understand.
admit. But a month into this, I will say I haven't. There have been several times where I've wanted to break, and I fortunately haven't. So
Good for you. That's awesome.
thank
yeah.
you very, very much.
Really, really cool, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that
Yes.
as well. I'm sure there's
glad
plenty
you're
of people.
healthy and feeling
Yeah,
good.
I'm sure there's plenty of people in the listening audience that have contemplated such a maneuver themselves. You know,
and sometimes like I know we have the SD Health, the SD
SD
Fat
Fat Loss,
Loss
yeah.
on here. Sometimes that just it doesn't work for people. Not trying to discount what they do. They
Right.
do amazing jobs, and of course here with like Ben and Chris Ello that we've seen, it works. Just for me, the way my body was genetically,
Yeah.
if I worked out, ate right, I'd only lose about 40 pounds before that was it. So this was really the only way for me, either that or just straight on stomach bypass. This was the only way for me to be able to reach the weight goals that I had set for myself.
Yeah, it's a radical reshape, but then you retrain yourself over the course of the procedure. And the theory is on the other side, you've lost the weight, you've experienced all the positive benefits of what's happened, and now you've got that mental girding to continue forward without the extra cannelloni or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such an individual journey too. Everyone's journey is so different, right?
Absolutely.
Completely true. Well, awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that with the audience,
Yes.
as well as with the two of us, just asking questions like the layman that we
absolutely.
are.
Any-
Laywoman, lay person.
Well, happy to answer anything.
Awesome, man. All right, let's take a quick time out. When we come back, it's our regular Friday feature. It is Crossing Streams. This is our weekly television streaming podcast segment. Well, it's not a podcast, it's a segment on the radio show where Media Melanie joins us. She's got a television streaming recommendation for you. I've got one as well. We'll kick around what anyone in the studio has to share alongside. And then we'll wrap things up with Ask Us Anything and open phones. So stay right there. Danny and Elsten go until 2 when Gwen and Chris, did I hear right, featuring Sam Levitt?
I think so. Scraby and Sam,
Yes,
something like that.
Yeah, because Chris Ello is doing the Aztecs women's basketball game up at UC Davis tonight. So that would be why.
That'll
There
be
you
fun.
go. There you
Little
go.
Friday night fun with the two
They
of them.
just leave Sammy in a back room here. They just,
They've got him like a place next door. You know, like they're renting out Odyssey. It's an extension of the Odyssey Palace.
it's a
just
glass
for
case.
Sam. Right.
It's a glass
So
case.
that's
They break
why-
it in case.
So that's why the building across the way is renovating the whole
Exactly.
Got
it's
it.
Sam's
Okay.
penthouse.
It's
right.
the,
yes.
the Levitt
so they
Towers.
can just have him come
I
and go.
understand.
Yeah. You know?
I mean, I would. I'm all in favor of the Levitt Towers.
Yeah. It's
Just-
a good plan.
Yeah. Have Sammy right there and be like, "Hey, Sammy,
I don't know if Sammy would love it. But then again,
come on over.
you know, it would make his commute time less. So.
Come on over, Sammy." That's all coming up. Media Melanie's next. This time out is right now on the Fan. Did you know you can listen to 97.3 The Fan with your smart speaker? Did you know? You can, you know. Just do it.
Hey, Alexa.
Play 97.3 The Fan. That's all you got to do. It doesn't have to be her. It's not a real person. Feminize it. It's not a real, it's a computer. Hey, computer bot thing. Play 97.3 The Fan. Try it that way.
My Siri is a Australian man, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My Siri is an Australian woman.
Oh, well, there you
Why
go.
do we like the accent
I don't
so
know.
much? But we do. We really do. All right. It's that time of the week. We are headed toward the end of the work week. That means the weekend is right in front of you. And, listen, it's that time of the winter. You've got football to watch. You got college. College basketball is here. You got the NBA. You got the NHL. So if you're a sports junkie, you're probably set for the weekend. But it is a 3-day weekend. You've probably got time in there for a streaming show or two. And also, not for nothing, there's plenty of people in the listening audience that don't want to watch the NBA or maybe college football or maybe the NHL or maybe any of those sports. So, as a weekly public service and for weekly entertainment and to cover a segment here on Annie and Elsten, we do Crossing Streams, built off a podcast I used to do for about 4+ years, where we looked at television streaming shows, offered reviews, recommendations, and so on. Media Melanie has picked up the baton for me. I used to come on with Ben and Woods every Friday morning to offer a pick. Now, Media Melanie comes on with us every Friday to offer a streaming recommendation, and today I've got one for the audience as well. Media Melanie, good afternoon to you. How are you today?
I am well. It's a beautiful day out there. Looking forward to the long weekend. And I've got a great segue here. You guys were just talking about Australian accents. And as it happens, I have an Australian comedy series.
Ooh.
Well, tell us more.
Yes, I did want to keep things nice and light this week. And I thought, what better than a dog-centric sitcom? So I went back to the well, pulled out a feel-good comedy. It's got a recent second season streaming on Paramount Plus. It is called Colin from Accounts.
Colin from Accounts.
Colin from Accounts, yes. It is cute. It is easy to watch. It is an Australian comedy series that follows the lives of Ashley and Gordon, who are two strangers who meet under some pretty absurd circumstances involving a car, a dog, and a little bit of nudity. And these two starkly different characters accidentally collide, literally, and they find themselves responsible for an injured dog who now requires wheels for his back legs.
Oh.
They end up co-parenting this adorable stray, whom they name Colin from Accounts, and they navigate their unexpected bond, romance and chaos ensue, and they confront a lot of personal baggage and tackle some pretty hilarious misadventures together. One of my favorite scenes was Gordon throwing Ashley a birthday party at his brewery, which ended up being a pretty big test for their relationship and also shined a light on their age gap because Ashley's friends love a good party. And fun fact, Harriet Dyer and Patrick Brammall, who star as Ashley and Gordon, are actually married in real life. So it makes for some fun-loving and kind of authentic feeling on-screen chemistry between the two of them. Patrick Brammall is from the show Evil, which I'm a huge fan of as well on Paramount Plus. And despite these ups and downs the couple goes through, they work together to give Colin, the dog, the best life possible amidst their struggles. The show's packed with witty dialogue, offbeat humor, a lot of heart, and it takes us on a fun journey through messy, awkward, unpredictable relationships. And if you're into shows like Fleabag, Catastrophe, and I'd even say We Are Lady Parts, then this series is a good watch. It's a little bit quirky, a little bit offbeat, and season 2 dropped back in September on Paramount Plus, so there are 8 new episodes available to stream.
Well, when you pair it in a bag with Fleabag and with Catastrophe, I mean, you're talking about two of my absolute favorite comedies from the last few years. So that's an awesome recommendation, Media Melanie. Colin from Accounts, available on Paramount Plus, the home of CBS Reality and so much more.
Yes, yes.
But for me, mostly CBS reality. But
The Summit, Craig, I got to tell you, I'm loving that recommendation you had a few weeks ago. That one is a solid reality watch for anyone looking in that genre.
well, thank you. I agree. I was wavering a little bit on it in the last couple of weeks in terms of like, okay, they're going to cross a bridge and then they're going to vote someone off because it's pretty much what they've done each hour. But I agree. Actually, they've done a good job of creating the personalities, and they found one villain on the show, and they're really leaning into that. So I have enjoyed I have enjoyed The Summit as well. Okay, so from Media Melanie, the recommendation is Colin from Accounts, available on Paramount Plus. My recommendation is one that actually Melanie and I were texting about all the way back to last weekend. I started season 2 of this show on Friday last week. It was so good, I was done with it by Monday afternoon. I was done with all 6 episodes because I could not put it away. And thus, I am here to recommend both seasons of The Diplomat, which is a hit show on Netflix and has already been renewed for a 3rd season, which is good because season 2 ends on quite a cliffhanger. So, why am I recommending The Diplomat? Well, we're going to start off with 2 incredibly charismatic, outstanding actors who get to interact with each other in Kerry Russell and Rufus Sewell. Kerry Russell, you might remember from The Americans, which, if you've never watched it, is an incredible show and available via FX on multiple different platforms. On that show, Kerry Russell and her real-life husband, who she met on the show and they fell in love, Matthew Rhys, played Russian spies that were posing as Americans living in D.C. as an average family. This is different, but does keep the geopolitical tip for Kerry Russell. Kerry Russell plays Kate Weiler, who is the wife of Hal Weiler, played by Rufus Sewell, who has been an international diplomat for the U.S., an ambassador into war-torn countries like Afghanistan for years and decades. They are a political power couple, but one of those ones that works abroad, works in rooms you don't know, right? Well separated from the United States. At the beginning of season 1, episode 1, a call comes to the Weilers that not Hal, but Kate is being tabbed by the President of the United States to become the new ambassador to Great Britain. And so season 1 involves a little bit of a fish out of water story as Kerry Russell's character, Kate, who is very hard scrabble, no nonsense, doesn't care about her appearance, doesn't care about diplomacy or niceties. She's somebody who gets the job done, who's a, straight talker, very rough around the edges. And she is brought into this beautiful mansion that is used as the U.S. Embassy in Great Britain. And there's a little bit of a bouncing and bumping up against tradition and such things while this really cool political story unfolds. Season 1, very good. Very good. Season 2 of The Diplomat was bang on outstanding and is easily, Melanie, one of my 3 favorite shows of the year. Easily.
Oh, exceptional. And I am right there with you, Craig.
Yeah. This show, which is written and directed by someone named Deborah Kahn, is one of the sharpest written shows on television, period, stop. All right? If you were ever a fan of a show like The West Wing, if you were ever a fan of a show like ER, but I could go on, any show that is built on dialogue, built on characters walking and talking, in rooms arguing, witty repartee, sharp dialogue, can be funny while also being dramatic. The Diplomat has all of this. All of it. Rufus Sewell, as soon as you Google him and see his face, you're going to know who I'm talking about. An incredible character actor, just does such a great job. And this show portrays a long-standing marriage that has long-standing issues where the two of them maybe shouldn't even be together, but they are because they complement each other in some ways, and in other ways they repel each other. Like, the dynamic between these two is worth watching the show just for that. And then you get into the storylines and the plots, and it's incredible. Season 2 is tight, it's focused, it's got only 6 episodes. It is, I think, much easier to follow along in terms of the plotting of it than season 1 was, and it comes to an incredible conclusion. It's got a new addition to the cast, which I won't spoil, but comes from one of those legacy shows. And as soon as she shows up, you're like, whoa! And I just can't say enough good things about The Diplomat. I think it is an incredible show. I think it is so crackling in terms of its dialogue, in terms of its plot. And I love, Melanie, how it's created a character in Kate Weiler for Kerry Russell that is not perfect, that makes mistakes, that stumbles at times in big ways, but stays true to her character. I'm just a huge, huge fan of this show.
As soon as you texted me about it, Craig, I also got through season 2 and binged it so fast. And Kerry Russell, like you said, is just phenomenal. These little micro moments between her and Hal and the bigger picture plot as well, just could not say more positive things about this. So I'm glad that you highlighted it this week, because if it wasn't going to be you, I would have done it too. So good pick.
Fair enough. All right. So Colin from Accounts on Paramount Plus, and then over on Netflix, The Diplomat, 2 seasons, but I think only 14 episodes between the 2 seasons. So something that once you get in, it does have that seductive ability to pull you episode to episode, to give you a big cliffhanger that makes you jump right into click the button for, next episode. It's definitely a lot of fun. All right, Melanie, let everybody know where they can follow all of your exploits on social media and elsewhere.
Yes, you can follow me at Media Melanie on the socials and subscribe to my YouTube channel at MediaMelanieTV.com.
Appreciate you. As always, my friend, have a great weekend. What do you got going this weekend?
Got some travel baseball tonight, some soccer this weekend, and more baseball on Sunday. So kids sports, Craig. Lots of kids sports.
Lots of sunscreen, lots of
A
sidelines.
lot of carpooling, snacks, sidelines, right.
Yes. Do you have like a lawn chair with a little umbrella? Have you gotten to that stage?
Oh, of course I do. I just have a whole kit I keep in the back of my car with everything, and I take it out as needed, so always prepared.
Very smart.
Appreciate you, Media Melanie. We'll chat with you next Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
You bet. Media Melanie, good stuff
Good
there.
stuff. Good recommendations.
Colin from Accounts, The Diplomat. Great, great shows. Annie's still going to watch Challengers.
Yes.
With Zendaya. What are you watching these days, Frank?
Recently, it's been the back of my eyelids. That's what I've been watching.
Fair enough.
I've been catching up on a lot of old stuff that I've missed. Like, I finally got around to watching The Last Dance over the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So I've been kind of falling back and catching up on things that I've been meaning to watch for quite a long time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey,
Very good.
That's the thing about the streaming universe these days. I mean, you don't even really have to stay on top of everything. You just need to remember the things you forgot to watch. That sounds difficult, to remember a thing you forgot, but
Keep a list.
keep a list. Annie's got a list.
Oh, yes. My list is very, very long. I also want to watch, what was the Red Sox one? Is it The Comeback?
The Comeback.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
I did watch that. That one was very,
Was it
very
good?
Yes.
Yeah, I want
Yes,
to
it
watch
was.
that.
I need to watch that too.
It was really good. 3 episodes, probably about an hour or so each. Yeah.
Was that Netflix?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's on the list for sure. That's on the high end of the list.
I think it's the first episode is about the 2003 season, and then it's the first half of 4, and then the second half and the playoffs of 4 is the third one.
A week ago, I wasn't in the mood to watch something about the Yankees losing, but now I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Now I'm back to being fine with it, and I'd like to never remember that 10-day period of my life where I rooted for the New York Yankees. I'd like to just banish that forever.
It's amazing watching that. At least for me, I was in New York at that time, so
Right.
it was amazing going back and kind of remembering the feelings. It's early 2000s.
Yeah.
Red Sox Yankees was appointment television.
It was.
Stopped everything to watch those games. Didn't matter what time of year it was. Everything stopped to watch those games. Everything.
Jason Veritek and A-Rod.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
all
That's covered.
and Pedro and Don Zimmer.
Yep.
Amazing.
I always think about when Xander, the first year, was here, Bogarts, and reporters would ask him, "Hey, that Dodgers Padres rivalry, is it similar to Red Sox Yankees?" And he would be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." He would very politely point out it is not quite the same.
But now
Maybe closer. Although I still think, look, you got to the Red Sox and the Yankees have championships, and I think that plays a part in it. You know, I do think the rivalry is bigger than it used to be with the Padres and the Dodgers, but you know, I don't know. I think the players take it more seriously, don't you? I think the players from the Dodgers take it more seriously.
Oh, they do now.
Yeah.
How many of those
But I think
damn
it's
interviews
different
did we
than those
have to
other
hear?
rivalries. Yeah.
By the way, all the rest of the Dodgers, just go ahead. We accept on the record that you believed that the Padres were the second best team and that it was your real World Series to beat us. And
I mean, they said it on the record several times after the World
Over
Series
and over and
ended that the
over.
Padres, getting through the Padres was the big test.
can we put that on a flag and hoist it up?
No,
at Petco
you cannot
Park?
have a Mookie Betts and Dave Roberts said the Padres were the real World Series flag on the Western Metal Supply
Roberts,
Building.
Vesia,
Yeah.
Betts, etc. Like we could put up a whole series of pennants. No, the Padres were the Kike.
And
Padres
the
were the
Red
best
Sox
team.
and the Yankees were not doing podcasts together. They certainly were not. There was a real hatred.
They were
Yeah.
not. No. Well, there were no podcasts really
Well,
in
that's
2004.
true.
Who's
Fine,
to
yeah,
say?
that's true.
Who's to say that A-Rod wouldn't have welcomed on
Maybe they did
Mookie Betts?
exchange jerseys for all we know. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm just happy to be part of it, kind of. Well, the problem is we're on the wrong side of it.
It's definitely gotten more interesting with the Dodgers. I mean, for sure. With the Dodgers and the Padres, it's gotten more spicy, more interesting, more fun. Way different than like the questions you would ask the players 5 years ago about the rivalry, and they would politely be like, "Oh, well, it's fun to play the Dodgers. They always bring it, you know." I mean, now it's like now it's real competitive games.
It is. They don't have like a venerable institution on the LA bench that we could have our ace starter headlock and throw to the ground in a fracas a la Pedro and Don Zimmer. I was trying to think like who would the equivalent be, and there's just no one there. There's no one there.
I can't think of any pensioners on the Dodger coaching staff.
They
no.
don't really have it, yeah. And I mean, you know, Tommy's gone. You can't throw him anymore. Like who are you gonna toss?
He probably would have threw Pedro.
Yeah.
He sort of didn't mess around.
Come correct.
Yes.
All right, let's take a time out. Last time out of the week. Let's open up the phones to you. Hang on, I got to do the thing. Phone lines are now open. 833-288-0973. 833-288-09. It's a series of hand
It's a magic
gestures.
wand.
Done.
So
With the
though.
snap, it completes. 833-288-0973. Phones are open for the next 12 minutes. They will snap closed like a steel gate at 1:50. But between here and 1:50, if you call us, Frank will screen you up and we'll put you on the air. All we got to do is get a question from you. That's it. Just come preloaded with a question to ask the show. Doesn't even have to be about sports. It's even cool if it's not about sports. Could be about anything. Ask Us Anything is next. Annie and Elsten, 833-288-0973. Fill up the phone lines for our final segment of the week on 97.3 The Fan.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the week. We started with gratitude. Thank you so much for making Annie and Elsten a small part of your day. However you choose to consume the show, whether you're listening to us in a podcast over the weekend, whether you're our buddy in Great Britain listening to us now on a Saturday breakfast. Are you having that English breakfast right now, my British friend, with the sausage and the tomato and the beans and
Please
all of
stop.
that?
Please stop.
Yes.
Please stop.
Oh, sorry,
Frank.
Frank. Sorry, Frank.
Jeez.
I mean, you ever had a traditional English breakfast? I've never had it.
I have not, but I know the Shakespeare down by Washington Street, just off the 5. That's one of the best places you can go. For it.
Well, you know, I won't do
I didn't
that
even know
to you.
that.
I won't go
Right.
have it this weekend. I promise. Nonetheless. Anyways, however you're watching the show, however you're listening to the show, thank you for being there. We respect your attendance to the program. We know that it is a privilege and not a right to be doing this show, and it is a great job, and I love my job. Thank you so much to everybody who helps support this program.
Huge thank you. Thank you all.
And with that, let's hit the bumper, and let's open up the phones.
Her name is Annie. His name is Craig. They're joined by Braden. But who are they really? Never hurts to ask. It's time to ask us anything on Annie and Elsten.
All right, here we go. And there's still 5 more minutes to call the show. So if you'd like to dial us up, go ahead and do so. 833-288-0973 or banging phone calls until the end of the show. 833-288-0973. Here's Jake in Lakeside. Thanks for kicking us off. Jake, you're on with Annie and Elsten. Ask us anything. Yo, Jake.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Real quick, correct me if I'm wrong, excuse me. Was it the Chargers that left in 2018?
17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay. Following that, I believe it was 2019. I saw that the Jacksonville Jaguars were maybe considering moving to San Diego. Not 100% sure if that's true or not, or if that was true or not. But if a team did decide to come to San Diego, what team would that be, and where would they go? And would you even want a football team to come back to San Diego?
I feel, Jake, like we have to start your question at the end because you asked where would they go, and without said place, the NFL will never allow a team to come to San Diego. There would need to be an 80,000 seat, 65,000 seat, whatever NFL stadium. And Snapdragon Stadium ain't like, you know, as much as it's a cool stadium, it's designed for low end college football and high end soccer in terms of attendance. It is not built for the National Football League. So the fact that Qualcomm Stadium was razed to the ground, already the NFL in 2003, you might remember, declared it unfit as a site when it was hosting the Super Bowl. What a day that was. Paul Tagliabue at the time, the NFL commissioner, saying, nope, this place stinks, can never come back. So realistically, Annie, Sans Stadium, there's no discussion.
I mean, the NFL did like San Diego a lot. NFL likes San Diego a lot. Obviously, they should have interfered with what happened more. But I think now that you've got 2 teams up in LA and you don't have a stadium here and you don't have an owner that's willing to move a team here, you would need someone to come in with the money that would make the other NFL owners listen, just like Stan Kroenke did. I have the money to do this, and it's going to benefit this league big time, and so we're going to do it. So that's kind of like, you need to strong arm that way. However, would I want one? Yes, absolutely. If the NFL was going to come back to San Diego, for sure. I don't know the answer to any of your other questions, though.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's no answer, right? Thank you, Jake. Good question, man. There's no answer because there's no team because there's no stadium.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't even if the Jaguars owner had a wild hair and just raced out to a microphone this afternoon and said, "I'm done with this place. I want to go to San Diego."
You would still get resistance from now Kroenke and Spanos about the market. Now, but which you could overcome as long as they were building the stadium and it was billions of dollars and everybody was happy and with the money part of it.
Yes. Back to the phones momentarily. Neil in the chat says, end the debate. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? That's a good question for Ask Us Anything. 100% yes.
Yes.
Bruce Willis said it wasn't, but he's wrong.
He's wrong. Because it is.
It is.
When do you watch it? You watch it at Christmas. Why do you watch it at Christmas? Because it's a Christmas movie. Yippee-ki-yay. Here's Jason in Claremont. Hi, Jason. Welcome to Annie and Elsten. Ask us anything.
Happy Friday, guys.
Happy
And
Friday.
my question for you is this. Who makes the best hamburger in San Diego?
Wow, that's going to be a matter of opinion. Mr. Jason, I am going to personally select, and now I've got my plant-based friend to my right. And
I don't have a good answer for
I've got
this.
my water-drinking friend to my left. So allow me to take this on personally. The friendly off of 30th Street in South Park used to be a $5 dirty flat top cheeseburger is what they called it. I think they might have, just because everything's more expensive, it might be $6 or $7 now, but it is a double smash patty with American cheese, with a garlic aioli and a little bit of grilled onions on a bun that gets buttered and toasted, and they just smash that thing together, and dadgum, it is good. It is
That
good.
is a pretty good one.
How about you?
And they
Who's
also
your
have
favorite,
Hodad's
Jason?
Twisted Peach. I like Hodad's.
Hodad's is a great call. I mean, that's an OG, right? That's one of those OGs, and get it at the original Hodad's. Don't settle for the ballpark one.
Right.
Great call, man. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend, okay, Jason?
Thank you. You too.
You bet. Here's Johnny, 4S Ranch. What's up, Johnny? Ask us anything, buddy.
Hello. Hi. Happy Friday, you two.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay, I got a two-parter for you. First one for both of you. Okay, you are AJ Preller. Money is no object. We need pitching. Who are you taking if we can get him? Max Fried or bring Blake Snell back?
I'd go with Blake Snell.
I'd go with Blake Snell too.
I really would. I think he's I like his frame. You know what I'm saying? I physically, I think he's going to last longer than Max Fried.
I agree.
Cool.
Part two.
Part two.
Specifically for you, Craig. Again, you are the resident soccer expert. If Tottenham were to win any trophy this year, which one do you want? Do you want the EPL championship or Europa League trophy?
I think you want the EPL championship, don't you? I mean, I don't see it coming, but that's the top of the world. I mean, Europa is amazing, but I think if you asked a Tottenham fan, they'd want the EPL title, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's European football, they look at league titles as the pinnacle, and then the European trophy is secondary usually.
Yeah, that's my call too. Yeah, okay, go Spurs.
Spurs.
I still haven't really picked one, but go Spurs. Thank you, Johnny. Let's wrap things up with Easy Money. What's up, Eric? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, guys? First time calling to your show, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Not the first time that I've seen you, though. No,
I know, my man. I can't wait for soccer season.
It's coming. I wore all my soccer's gear today. December 14th at home versus Utica City, Front Wave Arena. What's going on, brother? Ask us anything.
I see you. I just wanted to ask you guys, what's your biggest sports bet win? Like, biggest wager win?
Oh, wow. I'm not a huge sports bettor.
I definitely am not. But one time, my dad in Vegas put a wager for me on a safety in the Super Bowl, and I won a lot of money. I don't remember how much. But it was
Really?
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's nice. The most I ever won in a live poker tournament was $8,800. So
Whoa,
Yeah,
let's
that's a
go,
lot.
Craig.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
that's gonna be my call. It was the Viejas Poker Aces tournament way back when, and the only time I ever played, and I finished 6th, I think. And I'm pretty sure we chopped at the final table, but to some extent. But I made $8,800.
That's good.
Yeah, it was nice.
Good
It's
work.
fun to have a big old thick stack of $100 bills. It's a real blast.
Yeah.
When you have it, you just can't help but like fan it out, and like. I'm sure Rupert Murdoch doesn't care anymore, but like for me, that was a good feeling. What's the biggest bet you've ever won, Easy?
Not as big as yours, man, but it was Costa Rica versus Greece in the World Cup. When Costa Rica beat them in penalty kicks, I put down $300 and it out 1,200 or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice one.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, what a feeling when you're rolling fat. You cash the ticket. You're like, hey, guys, drinks on me. Where do you want to go? Let's get the expensive
Living large.
Get the expensive dinner. Let's get a limo.
Dollar bills, y'all.
You know it. All right, Easy Money. I hope all your bets cash in this weekend, man. Have a great rest of your day.
You know it, man. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And that's it for the show. Italian Paul, Frank Marchese, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Frank.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Happy 3-day weekend, everyone. Be safe out there. Thank you to all the
Absolutely.
veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be it for the show. Coming up, Matt Scraby with Sam Levitt on the Gwen and Chris show. Stay tuned for it. For Annie, for Frank, I'm Craig. Have a great weekend. This has been Annie and Elsten.
Bye.